Greetings, Imagine. Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on the John Campea YouTube channel. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it? Especially if you love the movies. Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, and of course, your pharaoh of physical media. Welcome to October, or as we like to call it, Spocktober, according to Darren Doctorman, or Rocktober. I just prefer to celebrate. I like to celebrate the black arts, and what better way to kick it off than Black Phillip from The Witch? You know, he doesn't get enough, he doesn't get love. He doesn't get love like Freddy Krueger. He doesn't get love like Leatherface. He certainly doesn't get love like Chucky. He did get 4K love from Second Sight, though. Yes, he did. That's a spectacular Second Sight release. If you don't have the box set of The Witch, chef's kiss. I love that film. Robert Eggers, man, that guy knows how to create atmosphere. And Black Phillip, I'm telling you, he doesn't get enough love. He should have more love in his life. We should have more love for him. Anyway, I'm solo today, kids. That's right. You know, sometimes late at night solo is a good thing. But that's, of course, no one else is around. But Dieter's not here. Your favorite German, my favorite German, everyone's favorite German, all the way from Saarbrücken, Deutschland, is not here. Which is sad. It's not a show without Dieter, but it is a show because you've got me. I know some people are like, we're tired of you. We watch you all the time. There's too much of you on the internet already, which could be true. Maybe it is true. I don't know. But I do know that it's Let's Get Physical Media episode, I think 124 today. Might be 123, 124 maybe. And it's sad. But it's Rocktober. It's everyone's favorite. Halloween is coming, which is such a great holiday. And you can celebrate this year by watching or buying that excellent 4K re-release of A Nightmare Before Christmas. Thank you, Disney, for providing that. They went back to the original negative, and it is a stunning transfer if you don't already have it. We've waxed rhapsodic about it on this channel. Wow. And I want to begin this episode today with a Hell Freezes Over story. Maybe not totally, but hey, can you believe this? Here we go. Everyone knows that Beyond Fest is running today. Actually, it is running today, but running now in California here, the American Cinematheque and all that. Putting it on at James Cameron. James Cameron, that's right. Big bad James Cameron. Sorry about that. Why are you looking at an ad in the middle of this? James Cameron rolled out for the folks in Westwood, and he brought the brand new 4K, that's right, of the extended version of The Abyss. And let's take a look at this. James Cameron surprises Beyond Fest with the restoration premiere of The Abyss. As you all know, I have talked a lot about the missing Lightstorm films on HD. Not even Blu-ray releases, at least domestically. Those films are, say it with me now, The Abyss, True Lies, the Lightstorm-produced Catherine Bigelow sci-fi extravaganza, Strange Days, who, by the way, I interviewed the costume designer again, Ellen Mirojnick, on Friday at Universal Studios. My God, is she a pistol? I love her. You'll see that later at the beginning of 2024. She also did Oppenheimer. So there you go. And also Solaris, the James Cameron produced and Steven Soderbergh written and directed and co-produced by my friend Chuck Bender, CVB, my college roommate. Not available in high definition. Strange Days has been released twice in Germany, and Solaris has been released a number of times. In one time in a beautiful media book. Thank you, Dieter Bastian. So those have been released in Germany, but not True Lies or The Abyss. And The Abyss has been restored. Both versions have been restored. They showed the extended version at Beyond Fest, the 4K, the finished 4K master. Now, remember, that's a Fox film. So according to Disney, who owns the Fox library, it probably doesn't even exist. If you called Disney up, they would say, what is The Abyss and who is James Cameron and what are you talking about? Maybe not. Maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic, but you know what I mean. It'd be close to that. But anyway, I wanted to read this article from Variety because there's pertinent information to this show. James Cameron appeared Wednesday at Los Angeles genre festival Beyond Fest for a Q&A about The Abyss during the why does it always slide like that on me? I don't understand why it does it to me. And then, you can't see it. I hate it when it does that with all these weird ads. I know I got to use ad blocker. I know. But the thing is, I have to turn it off for some things. Anyway, and at a Q&A, after screening the film's seldom seen 2-hour and 51-minute special edition, you know why it's seldom seen? Because it's only ever been released on DVD and Laserdisc. And come on. During his conversation with moderator Jim Hemphill, Cameron confirmed completion of the 4K restoration he announced last year, physical and streaming versions. Physical and streaming. Of which he said were out of his hands, but the work has long been concluded. All of the mastering is done, and I think it drops pretty soon. A couple of months or something like that. Come on, Disney, give us something that, your 100th anniversary on physical media, like Warner Brothers, has pretty much been a bust. How about 100 years, 100 films, and release 2 movies a week? Why not that? 4K remasters of everything, Dolby Vision, HDR. You could have done that. Instead, you're giving us one box of Blu-rays with not all the special features for $1,500, and I'm supposed to be happy I'm getting a clear mouse ears or some shit like that. Not cool, Disney. And Warner Brothers, you're just as bad. You had a great 100-year logo, and how many discs does it appear on? 10? Come on, bruh. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about right now. Cameron confirmed completion of the 4K restoration he announced last year, physical and streaming versions of which he said were out of his hands. Okay, first of all, how can anything be... When have you ever heard James Cameron ever utter out of his hands? Ever. You know why? You've never heard it because he's never done it ever until this interview, which tells you something that how much he thinks of Disney. It's out of my hands. It's over that fucked up, majorly dysfunctional stock price drop in studio. That's only going to release one big thing to celebrate their 100th anniversary. Hey, Disney, you know what you could have paired with The Abyss if it comes out this year? You know what you could have done? How about this? Disney presents 2 of the greatest undersea adventures ever made, fully restored and remastered in 4K. James Cameron, the fantastic filmmaker behind The Abyss and one of the most influential movies in his life ever made, Walt Disney's original, say it with me now, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But you know what? That's not going to happen. And if it is going to happen, it's because I said it on this show right now. So gods at Disney, you released a fucking lame-ass Disney... I have it on Blu-ray. I do. And a viewer of probably this show sent to me. It is on Blu-ray, but only if you join the Disney Movie Club. One of the most significant fantasy films ever made. One of the most beautiful fantasy films ever made. James Mason and Kirk Douglas and Peter Lorre. Bro, come on, man. Let's give me some 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And I'm not talking about, get Ariel to sing it. Do a tie-in. I don't know. Or get Sebastian. Whatever you want to say. I don't care. Bring it out. Anyway, let's get back to this. All of the mastering is done, and I think it drops pretty soon. A couple of months or something like that. Cameron said in response to an audience question. There's a lot. Now, this is what makes me feel blood running into my nether regions. There's a lot of added material that they're sticking in there. And it will be available on streaming simultaneously, but I didn't just want to look at the old HD transfer. I wanted to do it right. Okay, I mean, have you heard anything so great lately? I know I haven't. That's amazing. And that's, you can find this article on Variety if you want. That's all the information I wanted to read. I wanted to do it right. We'd heard tales told of an HD master that was done a long time ago. Obviously, he went back. The transfer technology is much better now. And remember, there was a negative. A lot of the time, we aren't getting director's cuts or extended versions in 4K because they didn't go back to the original negative when they made them. It was video, video inserts and things like that. So with the Abyss, the extended cut of the Abyss, which is in my mind the definitive cut, and Cameron goes on and talks about how he thought of the Abyss as a spiritual sequel to Day the Earth Stood Still. I don't know if I'd ever heard him say that before, which makes sense. And the extended version really hammers that point home. And, it's also a great romance, a great love story, like many of Cameron's movies are. Terrific. And, I saw the movie on the big screen, I want to say like 5 years ago. Not the extended cut, or maybe it was the extended, I don't remember. But it's a banger. I mean, the movie is so well made. It is truly one of the most thrilling movies ever made. Certainly shot in an abandoned nuclear containment building, which is amazing. Irene Jobson sends in a super chat and says, "You should have had Undead Sick on." Oh my God, then we only would have talked about Star Wars and why he's wrong about it. This is to you, Undead Sick. You're not wrong. We just have a difference of opinion. And you're welcome to come on if you want. So, one never knows. But so anyway, it's really exciting to hear this information come from the horse's mouth. I really hope. I mean, it's really weird. We're getting Prey, in 4K. The reviews are starting to drop, and that was a made-for-Hulu movie that's coming out on 4K physical media, and we're getting a Hot Toy Predator from Prey. So that's very, very exciting. I'm really happy about that. So good stuff there. Very exciting. News of the week in my mind. Can't wait to get that in 4K. Here's some more news. As many of you know, I've talked a little cryptically about this upcoming project that I'm doing. I am teaming up and Imagination Connoisseurs Unlimited, the company that Mike Bodden and I founded. Our first Imagination Connoisseurs Unlimited project that we're doing is going to be a scripted podcast, or I like to call it audio drama or movies, but without a picture. And we are teaming up with Max Allan Collins, who wrote the graphic novel Road to Perdition. He's also written sequels. He also took over writing the Mike Hammer detective novels from the Mickey Spillane estate, of which he just signed on as the executive producer with Skydance Entertainment to produce a Mike Hammer movie, which is very exciting. Max was also the creator of Miss Tree, the detective comic book that he co-created with Terry Beatty in the 80s, and hopefully maybe I'll be able to talk a little bit more about that sometime in the future. But our audio dramas, we are adapting the Nathan Heller series that Max Allan Collins is writing, of which, where did I put it? I think there's been, I have to get my facts straight. There's either been 17 Nathan Heller books up till now, and this is the 18th, or maybe this is actually the 17th. I'm not sure. But this book here is the 17th or 18th Nathan Heller mystery, Too Many Bullets. Look at this cover, by the way. Come on now. This is a movie poster right now. I'm not saying it's going to be a movie. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe a TV series. If you know who's starring in our audio drama, he's perfect as a leading man for the TV series, but I can't announce who that is just yet. This book comes out on October 10th. Max sent this to me early, and he wrote, "To Robert Burnett. The first of these, the first of these I've signed," meaning the first of this particular book. I mean, he's signed lots of books in his life, but this is the first copy of Too Many Bullets he signed, and it goes to me. And then he writes, "Get 'em all. Yours, Max Allan Collins, September 2023. Max, I'll tell you one thing. If you want to be a pen pal with Max Allan Collins, the man sends you cool shit. You get a box from Max Allan Collins. You want to tear it open and see what's in it. Literary goodness is what's in it. And we are going to be adapting his book. And we're going to crowdfund the first series, which is going to be 6 hours long. But before we do a crowdfunding campaign, we're actually going to record a pilot episode with some actors. And we're going to give you an example of what it's going to be. We're going to be shooting video. We're going to be creating physical media because like the super deluxe editions, not only are we going to have these radio dramas, I call them radio dramas because it's like the series, CBS Radio Mystery Theater that I grew up listening to, but we're going to be creating 5.1 and Dolby Atmos mixes of these radio dramas. So, and we're going to have a world premiere in a movie theater, which I can't wait to have all the lights on in the movie theater, turn the lights off, but the screen doesn't come to life. It's just the sound. It's going to be that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, we're going to be doing that. Look out for our crowdfunding campaign. We have the budget in place to do the first drama, but because we want to do things like take our star to Chicago and meet Max Allan Collins, there's a lot of things we have to do in addition to producing the pilot episode. But you'll be hearing it all. You'll be hearing the pilot episode first, of which we record in the next week, actually in the next 8 days. And you're going to hear more about that, and you're going to see all kinds of video. So that's very exciting. And now I'm just going to flat out tell you, I have a big package of discs coming that didn't come this week. So I didn't get much, which is sad. You know, what are you going to do? And as you all know, I did in fact get Shivers. This is David Cronenberg's 1975 Shivers, or as we know it in America, They Came From Within. This could very well be Irene Jobson's favorite horror movie ever made. I don't know if she's seen it, but she should. This movie, if you've not seen it, it is set in the Starliner Apartments outside of Montreal. And a doctor has been experimenting he's created these parasites that look very phallic. They look like crawling penises, and they're meant to go into the body and replace organs that have been damaged. But what ends up happening is they basically take over a host, reproduce in the host, and they basically turn everyone into sex monsters, meaning everybody just wants to they want to indulge their carnal desires all the time. And it's ultra low budget. Joe Blasco did the effects. It has some incredible, what the parasites do, it's really disturbing. Everyone remembers the scene with Barbara Steele in the bathtub, and one of the parasites comes out of the drain, and I'll let you imagine the rest. Irene Jobson can probably already tell you what happens. But I love this movie. The first time I ever saw this movie was the second bill at a drive-in I saw it opening weekend with Motel Hell. And I became a David Cronenberg fan after that. And this was released, this is a 4K version from Germany. This was released recently by Lionsgate. This is the Lionsgate version. Now, I've seen, and like all media books, what I really like is there's a lot of lurid art in this. And like a lot of the cool German media books, they not only have great pictures, but they also have various artwork from around the world. This here is the American one sheet, and I actually have an original British quad for this movie under different titles. They Came From Within, various art and video releases. So it's pretty cool. This book is great, and now I use Google Translate, so it doesn't matter. Frisians, it was also called The Parasite Murders. This is the one in the corner. That's the British quad that I own, which is cool. I love this movie. It's fantastic 70s sexploitation, and it co-stars the lovely Barbara Steele. So, and Ron Molodzik from Cronenberg's earlier work, like Crimes of the Future and Stereo, also appears in this movie as the manager of the Starlet. He's really creepy, and it's good. You got to get this. It's great to have on 4K. A lot of people have talked about how the 4K is a bad upscale of what Lionsgate did. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if this was shot in 16 millimeter or 35, but I thought this disc, the color, does this look like a movie that was produced this year? No. But I thought the disc was crispy. I thought it looked great. I don't know if it's upscale or not. But I think they only made 666 of these. There's 2 different covers. Anyway, finally got it. Thank you, Dietz. Now, the other thing I got, Kelvin Wellborn sent me a package. And let's see. He sent me some candy, which unfortunately I believe my dogs took. So, what can I say? But we talked about this. The BFI released this version of 1984, which I have never seen. Now, and we're also living in 1984. My dogs also took this. I opened the box from Kelvin, and they took this disc out, which I found in the yard. Luckily, the cellophane was still on it. As you can see, it was a little compressed down here, but hey, it still looks mint. All good. And I got this letter. G'day, Bob and Dieter. I heard on a show someone asked about 1984 by George Orwell. You know about the 1984 John Hurt film, but seemed to be unaware of the BBC 1954 TV adaptation by Nigel Neal. I was, and what's cool about Nigel Neal is he created the Quatermass series. And director Rudolph Cartier. I'll have to look. And it stars Windsor Smith, Andre Morel as O'Brien. It stars as Winston Smith, Andre Morel as O'Brien, Peter Cushing is Winston Smith, Andre Morel as O'Brien, Yvonne Mitchell as Julian, and Donald Pleasance. He was also in the 1956 film version. Anyway, this prompted me to watch my copy, which I had for over 12 months. I knew about this version for 30 years, but it was held up in copyright because of the 1984 film. That's very interesting. This is fabulous and a marvel of production, so I thought you would like your own copy. I'll be away the next 4 weeks in Queensland, so you may see me in random streams. All the best, Kelvin Wellborn. Kelvin, thank you for that. Very exciting to have a science fiction movie I've never seen, especially starring the great Peter Cushing. So very excited to watch that. And I love when I get those things because that's an amazing thing to have. So we'll get to we're not going to do a live chat today. You guys don't want me to do a live chat. It's going to be a short show. I'm here to have fun with you guys. So let's see what they announced for the week. Let's see what's coming out. First of all, they've released this before, but now we're getting a Resident Evil 6 movie collection steelbook box set. Now I already got the box set of this, and look, I like I don't think the Resident Evil movies are particularly good, but as far as B movies go, they're a lot of fun. They should have called this the Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore box, but they're not. But it's coming out, and the transfers will look fantastic. So that's exciting. We've got Chuck Russell's 4K of The Blob coming out from Scream Factory. What's interesting about The Blob to me is, the great triumvirate of remakes is Philip Kaufman's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, John Carpenter's The Thing, and David Cronenberg's The Fly. So that was 78, 82, and 86, respectively. But a few years later, director Chuck Russell, who did things like Eraser, and he did Nightmare on Elm Street 3, directed The Blob. And I would say this is definitely in that conversation. You might add this as the unofficial Fourth Musketeer to those great remakes from the 50s. I think this movie has a lot going for it, and it's really pretty good. I just don't think it's as, you know me, I like my highbrow erudite things, and while this isn't as erudite and highbrow, it still is very respectable. And I'm telling you, what Scream Factory's been doing with these horror classics, I bet this looks fantastic. And of course, I love that they went with the pink. They kept that. They made the Blob even pinker. And as Irene would tell you, you know how we all love the pink. So it's fantastic to see this coming out in 4K, which is amazing. Now, Eureka releasing some bangers. Now, I've never seen this show it's not Sonny Chiba. It's Sammo Hung. I'm not sure. Masters of Cinema, they've been doing a great job. Eureka's been doing a great job with their Asian releases. And the fall of Eiko Castle is, again, the 29 Ronin? It's a retelling of that story. I'd buy it for this cover alone. So I've never seen this movie. I'm very excited to get this. Another release that they're putting out is Casino Raiders. Again, this is John Woo did his movie God of Gamblers, but there was kind of a whole subgenre of crime thrillers about casinos in Hong Kong in the 80s and early 90s, and I've never seen this either. So this is a cool thing that, it looks cool coming out from Eureka. And they're also putting out this, which is, I think, a must-buy, another version of the Jackie Chan Police Story trilogy, this in 4K. Again, I think Eureka does a phenomenal job. And I think anything they put out's worth getting, even if you already have this set, buy this one too, I guess. Because why not? Why shouldn't you? I don't know. And then we have this coming out from my beloved Second Sight, following up on their great release of Frontiers. High Tension, coming out from Second Sight. Now, if anyone has bought their It Follows disc, I definitely think, now I understand it's, say, different from a photochemically shot film, but that It Follows disc is, in my mind, one of the transfers of the year, even though it's a low-budget horror film. The Second Sight presentation, and I will say this, the thing that I might be most excited about, of all the things that are coming out, the thing that I'm most excited about just to see it, it's a movie I love, but it's not Citizen Kane. Robert Harmon's The Hitcher. Somebody found the negative, and Second Sight made a deal that they have with a lot of their releases, other people are going to release it first, but then they're going to get to release their version. And how many home video companies drop pictures on social media of them actually working on the transfer? That's how cool Second Sight is. And Robert Harmon's been involved in the transfer. That film, if you haven't seen The Hitcher, you probably haven't seen it. The presentation, The Hitcher is like in other movies like To Live and Die in L.A. It's never really looked great on home entertainment, on any format. It's a beautiful lensed widescreen film. The film is, I cannot wait to see this transfer. I can't remember the last time. I love the movie. I think the movie's terrific. But I can't wait to see this transfer. I cannot wait. I think it's going to be great. And I think it's going to be, in my mind, it's probably going to come out in 2024 from Second Sight. I'm sure we'll have to wait for a couple other releases first. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Crimes of the Future got released on Blu-ray. It got released on 4K. I didn't even buy that 4K. I knew Second Sight was putting it out, and they put it out. And clearly the definitive edition, because they'll do some extra work on the transfer like they did with Robert Eggers' The Witch. So very, very cool. I'm very, very excited. And they are putting out to add to their, there's the box set of Martyrs, the Inside Martyrs double feature. Can I get those? Because I don't have that box set of Martyrs that came out from a different company. But put this with your Frontiers, you've got High Tension. But, my friends, news drop now. I did buy the imprint version of Walter Hill's 1979, The Warriors. I'll flat out say it. Walter Hill's The Warriors is one of my favorite movies. I think in a way it works almost as a fantasy film. You could say that the Warriors are a lost tribe that have to move through different magical realms to get home to their mystical land of Coney and Coney Island. I love The Warriors. I love everything about it. I think Barry DeVore's score and the opening title track and the way they did, especially in the late 70s, the way they did the opening titles is one of the great opening title sequences in movie history, introducing all these gangs going to this enclave in the Bronx. Well, so there in home video, there was a lot of controversy because Walter Hill, and I'm a huge Walter Hill fan, inexplicably did this weird version of the Warriors where he added these kind of cartoon interstitials. It was quite odd. So on Blu-ray, you couldn't get the original version of the Warriors. And then they did the video game, the PlayStation video game of the Warriors. There's been some Warriors merch that's dropped. And then eventually, Imprint, our friends down in Australia, released a very nice box set of both versions of the Warriors. But it was on Blu-ray. Well, guess what, true believers? You know who just rode into town and said, "Oh, contraire." And by the way, this is what happens. You buy a nice box set from one company, and then Arrow shows up with this goodness. Both versions of the Warriors remastered in 4K. My friend Scott Saslow, who designed the movie poster for Tango Shalom, worked on the design of this package. I have to tell you, I think this is coming out in December. But again, this goes right to the top. 4K release of the Warriors as one of my films of the year. And I'm very, very, very excited to get this from them. What can I say? These are the armies of the night. Cyrus, whole lot of magic. Can you count, suckers? I say the future is ours. If you can count. Do you know who that is? It's Cyrus. Now look what you see before us. 9 delegates from 100 gangs. And there's over 100 more. That is a miracle. And miracles was the way things was meant to be. Anyway, you've got the Sorensens sitting next to the Jones Street Boys. You've got the Moon Runners right by the Van Cortlandt Ranges. That is a miracle. And miracles was the way things was meant to be. Now, now there ain't but 20,000 police in the whole town. Can you dig it? No, I'm just kidding. I won't do the whole thing. I could, though. I won't. But it's very exciting to see this coming out. Definitely a release of the year for me. Can't wait. Also, not to be outdone for you Chucky fans, I'm gonna admit something. I like the first Child's Play. I understand why a killer doll. I get it. It's just kind of not my thing, you know. Bride of Chucky, more my speed. But I was never a real Chucky. I think Child's Play 2 is really good as far as horror sequels go. But I'm not a big Chucky guy. I know it might be blasphemous to say this, and people are going to be like, oh, I don't need to own these Chucky movies. But if you want to, look at that. Look at that. Arrow is releasing now. They're releasing, I didn't really look, but look, there's 2 different color covers. I know this looks more like the box that Chucky comes in. Maybe this is a special edition. And then there's the blue cover. I guess it's whatever you prefer. So that's exciting. I'm excited about that for everybody who wants it. You know, I'll probably break down and get it because I don't want to be that guy who's like, Uncle Bob, if I'm ever Uncle Bob, can we watch Child's Play? I don't want to be that guy and go, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have it. Well, why not, Uncle Bob? I don't like those movies. But we love those movies. How come you don't like them? And then I have to explain to kids why I can't show them a gory, violent movie about a doll predator. Because I would show it to them. How old are you? Oh, 6. I'm 6 and she's 7. Great, let's watch Chucky. But, so maybe I'll have to buy it. I don't know. So that's coming out from Arrow. They are also putting out, look at this, Savage Guns, 4 classic westerns. More great Italian spaghetti westerns here. I've not seen any of these. But if Arrow's putting them out, you should just buy Arrow box sets because they're great. Why wouldn't you? They're great releases. Always great stuff in them. And fantastic. So that's coming out. They're also putting out a pretty interesting movie from, I think, 1974, Day of the Locusts. And this is also coming from Arrow. Donald Sutherland's in this. Karen Black is in this. This is William Atherton. Walter Peck from Ghostbusters, I think, is in this. That's right. This man has no dick. So this is coming out. This is a great movie of Hollywood. Hollywood's past. I really like this movie. And the thing is, I've never owned this movie on any format at all. So I will definitely be picking up this Arrow title. So pretty strong lineup from Arrow, the Warriors, the Westerns, the Day of the Locust, and the Chucky box set. You know, you can't keep a good video company down. You go, Arrow. You go. And remember, that's following up on the heels of next month's Hellraiser box. Ooh, yeah. Now, as you all know, This channel is it's unofficially sponsored by Kino Lorber. And Kino Lorber is putting out something pretty cool on Blu-ray. So you go, Kino Lorber. I don't presume to understand their business model, but their releases, between their silent film releases, between their classic releases from the 30s and 40s, and all the way up to their new 4K releases that they're licensing from Paramount and MGM, I don't know how Kino's able to do it. Their release of both The Train, actually they came out this week. The Train came out this week on 4K, which is a stunning transfer. And Michael Cimino, who directed The Deer Hunter, actually I've got them here. I've already talked about these. I've already shown them. But Michael Cimino's first movie with Jeff Bridges and Clint Eastwood, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, out in 4K. I really like this movie. Definitely something. And there's Nick Pinkerton does a new commentary on this disc. There's the old Legacy featurette with Michael Cimino. I interviewed Jeff Bridges for Tron, and he talked about how he had a fondness for working with first-time directors and brought this up. So he had a good time making this film. And he brought it up in the context of Steven Lisberger, who directed Tron. That's why he was attracted to that material, partly because of this film. Also came out in 4K this week. Definitely one you should pick up. Actually, you should pick up both that and The Train and their 3 Days of the Condor transfer. But what they're putting out now is the Quester tapes. Now, many of you are going to be like, well, what is the Quester tapes? This is Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry's creation. It is a film. It is about an android, essentially, and really an android's quest to be human. It really is the prototype for Data, and also has an element of Star Trek the Motion Picture in it. There's a lot. I mean, obviously, people know that Deanna Troi and Riker were analogous to Decker and Ilea from the motion picture. A lot of recurring themes in Next Generation that Gene Roddenberry liked to revisit, but they're putting this out on Blu-ray. And I think this is originally a TV movie, but it is very cool. Obviously, you can see a little Robert Foxworth there. This is a really cool thing that Kino Lorber is putting out. Might not be on everyone's radar, but if you're a Star Trek fan, both old and new, this is definitely something that is very cool to have on Blu-ray. And I think there's a commentary on this. So you go, Kino Lorber. You keep putting out the goodness. You keep dropping those bombs and having those sales and keeping us physical media hounds happy campers, because you do. So let's hear it for Kino Lorber putting the Quester tapes out. What a nice little gift to get around the holidays. Very excited for this one, Kino. You go. Now we go back. Let's pivot back to Lionsgate. Lionsgate is putting this out. Look at this. A Clerks box set. Comes with a pop-up quick stop. I like the Clerks movies. All of them, actually. I like them. And I definitely, obviously, Clerks was one of the breakthrough indie films of the early 90s. Kevin Smith's had a great career. And this is a really cool box set. Definitely something worth buying. The packaging is very cool. It'll look great on a shelf. And if you've always wanted to go to the quick stop, you can pretend you go every day and you can have words with Silent Bob. So let's hear it for Lionsgate for putting this out, because it's dope. And it is dope. I mean, what a cool box. You go, Lionsgate. Love to see we're going to get more and more of this boutique-y stuff, even from bigger studios like Lionsgate, that still has a commitment to physical media. You know who doesn't have a commitment to physical media? Warner Brothers. I mean, Warner Brothers is like the Jekyll and Hyde of home entertainment. On one hand, you have Dr. Jekyll, and Mr. Hyde, right? You've got the unbelievably accomplished folks at Warner Archive that are having a banner year this year. They're putting out stuff. They're putting out a movie called Mad City that Costa Gavras directed. When was the last time you saw that? That's coming out. They just put out, I just got from them, What Cats Don't Dance. They are putting out newer stuff now, but their classic releases, unparalleled this year. And those transfers are stunning. I don't want to heap too much praise on him because he doesn't get enough praise in life, but I'm because he deserves it. The most knowledgeable executive in home entertainment in terms of where the bodies are buried, meaning where the transfers, went to, what state they're in, where are the negatives, and he's very well connected. He's also one of the nicest guys in the world, and he just embodies all of cinema to me, and talking to him is a true joy. Mr. George Feltenstein. And because of George, I get to see all these Warner Archive releases, and they're fantastic, and they're having a great year. But then on the other hand, Warner Brothers has been having its 100th anniversary. And frankly, the marketing departments of the studios used to always want to have events to tie in their releases to. And like, hey, Disney, Rob Burnett's idea about putting 20,000 Leagues out along with The Abyss, like releasing them together and doing a campaign. I don't think Big Bad Jimmy C would have a problem with that. He'd probably go, wow, you guys, look at the big brains over there at Disney. You've done nothing with the Fox library except put this out along with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. All right. That's what you guys should do. The Abyss for the holidays along with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. You got a couple of months. Get on that shit right now. You got a lot of legacy features. Go do it. Bob Iger, you're a smart man. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the live action 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, that and Mary Poppins while you're at it. Mary Poppins and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea both represent, as far as live action is concerned, all of Walt Disney's ethos rolled up into 2 movies. Make that happen. They're beautiful films. They deserve beautiful Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. I mean, go back and remaster that shit. Start now, Bob Iger. Don't look at your stock price. Go out and remaster 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Mary Poppins, and put 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea out with The Abyss, and make a big campaign around it. Would you? Please, because I told you to. And, really, when Bobby Burnett talks, everybody should listen, because I'm always right. I'm always right, even though I have no credibility in the industry. I'm always right. I mean, I'm like, what is my star meter? 36,497? I don't know. On the IMDb, maybe I can get that higher if you release 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and somebody will write an obscure article. Rob Burnett told him to do it, which they should. But let's get back to Warner Brothers. The other hand, Warner Brothers should have put out, it's 100 years, 100 movies. They should have put out 100 Warner Brothers movies on 4K, newly remastered, 2 a week. I know that would give us 104 movies, but still, how many? Anyway, they announced The Fugitive, and admittedly, Andy Davis directed this movie. It's a good movie. Who doesn't like it? But still, and it's got, look, I got to tell you, I like this logo. I really think it's a cool logo. The Warner Brothers 100 logo, and it's not going to be on 100 discs, which is sad. I mean, I'm happy we have Batman. We have Batman Mask of the Phantasm in 4K, but I don't have the right stuff in 4K, and I don't even think they know what the right stuff is. Why not? And just as a shameless plug, you can also get this on Blu-ray, another Andy Davis movie called The Package that came out around the same time. This is a terrific film. Thank you, Kino Lorber. And you got to love, another thing about Kino Lorber, the O-rings. You got to love the O-rings. Thank you, Kino. So if you don't have this, The Package, good movie. Watch it as a double feature with The Fugitive, which is in 4K. So there you go. That's really awesome. Now we come to the end of the disc portion, except, well, who brings up the rear? Who started the show? That's right, Big Bad Jimmy C. Guess what's been announced? That's right. I mean, we don't have a picture of it yet, so this is like a mock-up, and this is as clear as I could make it because it was a tiny, tiny, tiny thumbnail. This is not the actual packaging, but that's right. Titanic in 4K. King Tanic Israel will be extremely happy about this release. Coming out in 4K, I'll tell you, I could watch the first, until the ship sinking is fine, but I love the romance between Jack and Kate Winslet, because Kate Winslet, dream girl central in this movie, with exquisite breasts, and I want to go dancing in lower decks under with her, if you know what I'm saying. It's steerage. Take me to steerage, Kate Winslet. Please. I love Titanic. Again, in 4K, it's going to look fantastic. I can't wait to get it. Big release from Paramount. Paramount does not disappoint. Paramount, between what they've allowed Kino Lorber to license, and if you haven't seen the Staying Alive disc, where have you been? Staying Alive and Saturday Night Fever I have to say the Staying Alive disc is a little bit on that Saturday Night Fever disc. I don't know what that means, but it is. You should get it. Check it out. Staying Alive, man, the most maligned sequel of all time. Finola Hughes. And, I mean, John Travolta's never looked better. I could have done with less Frank Stallone music, but hey, I'm telling you, the two greatest shows are Satan's Alley, the two greatest fictional, like Broadway shows or reviews. Both made their debut on 4K this year. Showgirls, of course, Goddess, Thank You Vinegar Syndrome, and Satan's Alley, which rounds out Staying Alive. I'm telling you, if somebody was really smart out there, somebody would actually put up, and they'd have to be good, put up Goddess and Satan's Alley together as a doubleheader, like at the Wynn. Come on. Or on Broadway. I mean, they've done all kinds of crazy shit off Broadway. We've seen all different kinds of musicals. Somebody needs to give us Satan's Alley and Goddess. I mean, come on. How cool would that be? Maybe I'm the guy to do it. I've never produced anything on stage before. Anyway, just a thought. The rambling stylings of me on this show. You've had to put up with that. So, so there you go. This is kind of a fun version of the show, I have to say. I'm just kind of rambling, saying because I feel like I have to over entertain that I don't have deets. So there you go. Nathan Trujillo, I think it's Trujillo. Nathan's. I always wonder if I get your name right. I already read that. That was from last night, so you don't get to have it read again. But you're asking about Loki season 2. I'm looking forward to it. Dieter Bastian, he is here. Dieter Bastian says, "I'm sorry, folks, for not being there. Night shift work is calling. Does that mean you work at a morgue?" Rob, I just wanted to say, I've seen Lola. Great little movie, very inventive, worth your hype. I got a letter about Lola, which I'm going to get to. Yeah. And by the way, I saw that Martino Simoni is here. So yesterday, Martino Simoni is my agent on the Swiss-Italian border. Now, I didn't grow up with Playmobil. But Martino Simoni has he's my pusher. He's my dealer of Playmobil goodness. Star Trek goodness, a Bird of Prey, a Enterprise. He sent me the A-Team van. He sent me a DB5 James Bond. He sent me this. Look at this. I guess this is physical media. He sent me Magnum PI's Ferrari. I went to the post office. I got a tag. I had to go. I wasn't able to get it because of work. I went in and got it yesterday. Now, you know what's really cool about I haven't opened this yet, but I don't leave things like this in the box. This demands to be opened. It's going to be, I'm actually got a PlayStation shelf. Playmobil shelf. But here's the coolest thing about this Playmobil toy. Not just that it's 48 pieces, but I noticed on the box, it has an official Ferrari official product sticker. So not only is this a licensed Magnum PI toy, they had to go to Ferrari and get a license. How cool is that? You go, Martino Simoni, and you keep sending me this goodness. Let's hope Playmobil, say it with me now, does Airwolf. Have they done Airwolf? I want Airwolf. I want a Playmobil Airwolf. I need it. So Lola is worth my hype. Playtrek sent me a super chat with a thumbs up super chat for $50. Oh my God, that's Martino Simoni. Not only does he send me Ferraris in the mail, he sends in a $50 super chat, or 50, is it kroner? But thank you, Martina. Martino, you're the man. And by the way, I got just a hint of cigar smoke in the packing paper that you sent to me, because I love the pictures of Martino with cigars in his mouth. And one day I'm going to go smoke one for him. So it's going to happen. So there you go. Man of War 665, neighbor of the beast, says, so where is the Brotherhood of Wolf 4K love? I just got my Solomon Kane 1/12. That's a Mezco figure. 1/12. Guess what scale it doesn't come in? Nana nana boo boo. Okay, Manowar 665 Neighbor of the Beast would come on to as in our shows, and he's a 1/12 guy. He's one of the people that instigated the scale wars that Martino. If you haven't seen, one of my favorite things on this channel is Martino Simone's Play Trek videos. There, where he took the Playmobil Enterprise, which went on many adventures and crossed over with different action figures. They're really pretty clever. They're well shot, and the best is that he does the voices with his accent as the characters. It's genius. So watch that. I think we showed Brotherhood of the Wolf 4K. I love Brotherhood of the Wolf, but I thought we showed that already. And the Solomon Kane 1/12 figure, I'm sure, is amazing. You know, I've got one day I'm gonna open my Clockwork Orange. I've been moving, so I'm gonna open. I have a my new edict is I hate all the toys I have in boxes. So I'm building more shelves all around here to put more up. Nothing should be in boxes. No more. What am I saving boxes for? So my next of kin can rebox my Hot Toys figures and sell them. What's that about? I don't know. Don't want to do that. So anyway, but okay. I mean, I would love a Solomon Kane 6-scale figure, but who's going to make it? A World in Pajamas, Tracy, Science Girl, Science Lady, says Neil Gaiman is still working on a Gormenghast remake. I hope he succeeds, as Mervyn Peake's fantasy is a great book trilogy. Hope you're well, Rob. I have never read Gormenghast. I've heard it's great. I've never read it. I would love to read it. It would be fantastic to do. One day I'll read it. And if Neil Gaiman did it, he can do no wrong in my book. Can't wait for that second season of Sandman. Guy Newby sends in a super chat and says Disney should give their back catalog to Second Sight or Arrow. Can you imagine a Tron box set from Second Sight? I'm desperate for Tron in 4K. Well, excuse me. As you know, I did a feature-length documentary on the making of Tron that's on the Blu-ray. I would love to see, hey, anytime I can drop the work, right? Anytime I can see Tron, a 4K would look spectacular. A Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos Tron on 4K would rule. And, Tron Legacy, to me, I don't think Tron Legacy is great, but the visuals are great. It would be a great banger of a demo disc to have to show people. I mean, I'd love that. And maybe, if the new Tron movie does get made, maybe they'd release a triple disc set. But yeah, I think that Disney, I have been clamoring for both Barbarian and The Empty Man to get released by Second Sight. I think that would be a good way to dip their toes in the water. I think Barbarian and The Empty Man, first of all, I would love to see one of the more interesting stories in Hollywood, I think, in recent years, is Dave Pryor. Dave Pryor was finishing The Empty Man, and it was not, the studio didn't like it very much, and Dave was fighting for his vision. Dave actually is a former, he produced a lot of great special features for people like David Fincher, and I've really liked Dave's work, but I really like The Empty Man. But I read an article, an interview, maybe I saw a YouTube video with him talking about the story about how he had to fight for his vision for The Empty Man, and that Fox, they were in the changeover. People, it was like Fox was the Titanic. It was sinking, and David Pryor was able to stay there as long as he could in the edit bay and make the movie that he wanted. Got a little bit of a theatrical release. That movie is basically unknown. It deserves a bigger audience. I'd love to see Second Sight. I don't understand why Disney doesn't do this kind of stuff. License Barbarian, which has no physical media release. Here's the thing. It is so frustrating that the people that are running the studios now, especially like Warner Brothers, not Warner Archive, but their regular home video division, I'll criticize them. They don't know fuck all about their own catalog. They have to look at spreadsheets or whatever. And there is frequently a disconnect with the people that work at the studios now that have no understanding of what the audience that buys physical media wants. And when it comes to things like horror, sci-fi, genre, action, adventure, any kind of genre film, That's what you release. They'll always rocket to the top of the charts, and they will sell, especially if they haven't come out on Blu-ray before, or the first time that they're on 4K. Look at catalog titles. They always blast to the top of the charts. The problem is, the 4K market is still relatively small. But the thing about restoring the films in 4K is they go immediately to HBO Max or whatever streaming service, and you're good. You're in perpetuity throughout the universe forever. 4K is where all films need to wind up. And people are like, well, Rob, what about 8K and 16K? What about the screens in the Sphere in Vegas? By the way, I'm stoked to go see that shit. I hope they have like a behind-the-scenes tour. I can't wait to go to the Sphere. Achtung Baby is my favorite U2 album. Yeah, there's a YouTube band called YouTube, and they only do covers, but they do them only anyway. Whatever, it's a bad joke, didn't work. So, I can't wait to go see the Sphere. And Achtung Baby. How do you say it right, Dietz? If you were here, you'd tell me how to say it. But Achtung Baby is my favorite YouTube record. And I mean, Joshua Tree's good, October, whatever. But Achtung Baby, it was the synthesis of the way it sounded. It still sounds incredible. It sounds very modern. Love that record. They're performing the whole thing in the Sphere. I can't wait for the next month. Maybe we'll have a party in Vegas. Let's all go and go to the Sphere. So anyway, Guy Newby, yes, we should. They should give their back catalog. Give it back. That would be a great thing. It just jumped. Wait, where was I? Abash 38412 says, Rob, I watched Paris, Texas, Wim Wenders' Paris, Texas for the first time. Amazing film. I want it in 4K. What are the chances? It was so good. A revelation of a movie. Well, I would say that pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I don't know when it was remastered if Criterion did it in 4K. There's probably a 4K remaster. Curzon put out that Wim Wenders box set, and that's how we got a 4K of Wings of Desire. But Paris, Texas is right up there. I mean, Wings of Desire is my favorite Wim Wenders film, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I would say it's probably a pretty good bet that we would get Paris, Texas in 4K, and I agree with you. I mean, like, I don't know why, but I always think this is kind of weird because they don't really have anything to do with each other. Well, maybe kind of. Paris, Texas, and Days of Heaven in 4K. We're getting Days of Heaven. So maybe. We'll see. Irene Jobson, the lovely Irene Jobson, who's hella cute, especially on Instagram, says, I think I can speak for most of us that we adore your rambling. Oh, thank you. Also, have you seen Jennifer from 2005? I think you might like it. I have not seen Jennifer. Are you talking about Jennifer's Body? Because I've seen Jennifer's Body, Karen Kusama's movie Jennifer's Body. If that's what you're talking about, I've seen it. So that's exciting. Yeah, I've seen it. I did like it, actually. And by the way, that movie's grown in stature over the years, if you're talking about Jennifer's Body. Anonymous says, Rob, did you see the new Vinegar Syndrome releases for October that went up on the site today? Blood-sucking freaks in 4K? Okay, let's see. Really? Let's see. Mark of the Devil on 4K? Mother's Day on 4K? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Okay, I'll have to tell you, to be honest. Boy, that cover of Mark of the Devil is dope. So both Mother's Day and Blood-Sucking Freaks are truly disturbing. They're movies that truly disturb me because as much as I like gore and violence, when things get really too mean-spirited and anti-human, speaking of anti-human, God is a bullet. Pretty anti-human. That's why the Rob Zombie, like his movies, sometimes Devil's Rejects, that kind of stuff, the anti-human stuff gets to me. And I don't know why, but I saw Blood-Sucking Freaks at a very young age, Ralphus, and the throwing of the darts and all that. That disturbed me. But you know what? I'll buy that just to have it in 4K because Vinegar Syndrome deserves my money. But Mark of the Devil, I love Mark of the Devil. And wow. And these covers are great. It looks like the Mother's Day. They've got the original They've got the Days of Heaven cover. Oh, and they've got the original. Okay, these are, wow, this is exciting, folks. Let's we'll go to the Bloodsucking Freaks, aka the Incredible Torture Show. Go to vinegarsyndrome.com if you're interested. This is very exciting. I will be buying Mark of the Devil, Mother's Day, and Bloodsucking Freaks, much as I probably shouldn't. I don't know much about Rabid Grannies. I've never seen Rabid Grannies, but they are offering a October 2003 package. It's $169 for all 4 movies. That's a really great deal. Maybe I'll have to drop the green, and I'll be able to say that I own Rabid Grannies. I love Vinegar Syndrome. Where's the 4K of Liquid Sky, though? Come on, guys. I mean, come on. I know. I always want more. But that is very exciting, Anonymous. Thank you for that information. Vinegar Syndrome. God bless Vinegar Syndrome. You know, Vinegar Syndrome, Body Melt, and Liquid Sky. 2 movies, you know, since you put them out. I mean, and let's not just discuss Showgirls, how great that package is. By the way, Ellen Mirojnick, who I interviewed on Friday, Ellen Mirojnick also was the costume designer for Showgirls, and I pontificated. I waxed rhapsodic about Vinegar Syndrome's release to the actual costume designer of Showgirls. And Ellen's somebody who actually understands, like, when I'm talking to her about this kind of stuff, and she thought that was terrific. So there you guys go, Vinegar Syndrome. I told the costume designer of Showgirls how much your Showgirls box set is amazing. So Anonymous, was that Roberto? Anyway, Zen Quantum said the retro pickup of this week was Warren Beatty's Bulworth 98. Bulworth is great. It's a great political satire. It's great. I love Bulworth. Zen Quantum, nice pickup. Roberto Suarez asks a very good question. When a Blu-ray says it is a 4K restoration from the original negative, is that the same thing as being a 4K disc? No. And that is a good question. Here's the thing. There are lots of discs that get... Tango Shalom was mastered in 4K. So far, the only physical media release is a DVD. It was not released in 4K. If something is mastered in 4K, the reason they do that is because it's future-proofed. Well, sort of. I mean, but it's state-of-the-art. So it can be used for years to come, a good 4K master. But that doesn't mean it's going to get released in 4K because they run the numbers and they want to release it in Blu-ray. Their licensing fees and depending on the movie, they'll look at the analytics and they'll realize, okay, well, how many people are going to buy this in 4K? So it might not get released. However, so it's important to make sure that lots of things are mastered in 4K, but they're not necessarily released in 4K on disc. If they are in 4K, like these Vinegar Syndrome releases, so if you notice, so in their they've got 4 movies in this package. They've got Rabid Grannies, they've got Bloodsucking Freaks, Mother's Day, and Mark of the Devil. And 3 of these say 4K Ultra HD discs. They are clearly identified as being 4K discs. Rabid Grannies is not. So of those 4, you're getting 3 of these movies in 4K. So a 4K is literally, so that basically 4K is 4 times better. The resolution, there's 4 times more pixels. So for instance, if you're watching a 4K disc, a 239:1 4K, like widescreen Panavision, the actual pixels on that disc are 4096 by 4096 by 20. It's 4096. Let's see, a Blu-ray is 2048 by 1716. So a 4K disc pixels. So a standard HD 239:1 widescreen image is 2048 by 1716. A pixels. A 4K version is 4096. What's 1716? By 1716 by 2. I should just know this off the top of my head. but it is. That's what it is. So that's the difference. That's the difference. So you go from 20. What I say now? I haven't had my coffee. 4096 by half of is it 4096 by 1716? That's what it is. It's 4096 by 1716. That's 4K widescreen. HD 2K is 4096 is 4096. Fuck, I can't remember. It's 848 by 2048. Yes, 2048 by 848 is how it is. 2048 by 848. That's what it is. It's 2048 by 848 pixels, and then it's 4096 by 1716. That is the pixel difference between a 2K and a 4K widescreen transfer. I would look terrible as a post-production supervisor to not get those straight. Look, I can't remember everything. It's Sunday morning. What do you want from me? My head's full of so much stuff. I'm right now not in post mode. I'm in recording mode. So there you go, Roberto. Ron C says, "Hello, Rob. Hello. I dated a woman from Belarus for 5 years and took her to watch the 2006 Superman Returns. My favorite part, when Superman whispers over the city. She cried when asked, 'Lois Lane, do you love Superman?' No. Texted me out of the blue. She bought the 4K. Well, here's the thing. There is no 4K of Superman Returns, unfortunately. So she probably bought a 4K set, but the actual Superman Returns needs to be remastered in 4K. It hasn't been remastered in 4K yet. At least maybe not. It hasn't been done domestically. They might have done it in Europe. I don't know. As far as I know, it's not in 4K yet. I wish it was, because my documentary's on there. But why are you not dating a woman from Belarus who will text you after watching Superman Returns? She sounds like a keeper to me. And I'm telling you, those Eastern Bloc women, smoking. Just saying. I was married to one. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's because, like with me, it didn't last. But it was fun while it lasted. I'll tell you that. So this is all very exciting. We got all new news about Vinegar Syndrome. I'm very excited about that. But you know what else? You know what we have now? Letters. Hey, I thought this show was going to run for a half an hour. I'm very impressed that I'm keeping it going. I hope you're still watching. By the way, you know what I just got in my email? Now that I look, Douglas Pratt's. Now, so Douglas Pratt is a man, I've talked about him on the show before. I learned about him from my friend Craig Hyland, who I still know, one of my oldest friends from Seattle. I've known Craig Hyland for 40 years now. So Craig hit me to it was just the Laserdisc newsletter. And then Douglas Pratt turned it into the DVD Laserdisc newsletter. He's never changed the title. And this comes from a P.O. box in Glen Cove, New York. You can sign up for it. And I used to buy this newsletter religiously at Tower Records, but there's no more Tower Records, so I can't buy it religiously. But Doug Pratt sends it to me now, so I get it. And I can't recommend it highly enough. And it was just in my inbox as I look for my letters. There it is in my inbox. So get it. Go look up Douglas Pratt's the DVD Laserdisc newsletter. Subscribe, support. He's been doing it for a long time. And he's great. So do it and tell him that Rob Burnett and Let's Get Physical Media. Tell him Rob Burnett and Dieter Bastian on Let's Get Physical Media sent you. So here's our first letter from Brian Knight. And this is, Grace Kelly is the answer. Now, I have said that if there's a fictional character that I could have ever wound up with, it would be Grace Kelly's character from Rear Window. Just because of, not just because she's beautiful, but the kind of person she is and the fact that she really truly loves Jimmy Stewart, and yet she's got gumption, that one does. So this is a response to that. Brian Knight says, Robert, the answer is Grace Kelly, but I want her character from To Catch a Thief with Cary Grant and High Society with Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra. She knew how to party in those movies. Yeah, but you know what? I mean, she knows how to get out of a scrape in Rear Window, and she truly loves Jimmy Stewart. She's, I understand she likes to party, but I'm more into the settling down phase of my life. As for the 4K release of Duel, Steven Spielberg's Duel, I hate that movie with a passion. Never mind, this was a made-for-TV movie. Okay, first of all, don't malign the made-for-TV movies of the 70s. That's where we got Bad Ronald from, like Satan's School for Girls, Sweet Hostage, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, Killdozer, The Stranger Within with Barbara Eden. There was banger TV movies. Did I say Sweet Hostage? Come on, man. Don't be prejudicial against. We live in a time of great tolerance. Used to be tolerant of 70s TV movies like Duel. And it was, come on, it's one of Spielberg's greatest efforts. It launched his career. It has great significance in the history of cinema. But anyway, he says, as for the release of Duel, I hate that movie with a passion. Never mind, this was a made-for-TV movie. The whole movie and plot is just insufferable to watch. Dennis Weaver is great as McCloud, but completely the wrong actor in this movie. Well, you might have a point there with him being miscast. Yeah, you might have a point. You might have a point. I'm not saying you do, but I'd entertain the idea. Still, it's a very significant movie. I'm happy to get a new version in Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision. I think it's in both. Why you gotta be, come on. This next one comes from David Fairclough. David says, Lola. Now, I showed Des, all the way from Ireland, sent me Lola on Blu-ray, which I didn't have. Now, Dieter told me it's been subsequently released. So, this letter from David is about Lola. Hi, Rob. Thanks for reading out my previous letter. It gave me a real thrill. Well, thanks for writing in. It's always thrilling to know that somebody takes time out of their day and sends a letter. It's amazing. A quick thanks for the heads up on the film Lola. I got a hold of a copy on Blu-ray, and what a fantastic indie film. Totally agree. Good time travel style idea, well executed, coherent self-contained narrative, great use of archive and stock footage, and well executed visual effects. Not only a clever idea, but an effective, emotional, character-based storyline underscored by some excellent performances. It can proudly take its place in the pantheon of low-budget time travel movies. Time Crimes, which, by the way, you've nailed this. Time Crimes, Predestination, Primer, Safety Not Guaranteed, and a personal favorite of mine, The History of Time Travel, to name but a few. I would add another into that, a very sweet movie called Late for Dinner. But that is a great list. Oh, Dave, and he says that Fairclough is pronounced Fairclough. Yeah, it's like, you know what? It's like I've always loved the name Siobhan until I see it spelled. I'm like, Saibu what? And of course, Saoirse Ronan. The only reason I know that is because I think on some late night talk show she sang a song like Saoirse Like Inertia, and now I know Saoirse Ronan's name. But okay, so it's Fairclough. Fairclough. There's no F. Clough is uff. God bless you. Does that mean you're also from Ireland? Because everybody from Ireland gets a little bit more in my book. Everybody from Ireland's slightly elevated. That's the way I think about it. But you have very good taste, sir. Time Crimes, I'll tell you, if you guys have not seen Time Crimes, directed by, I think it's Nacho Vigalondo, and that's from 2007. And I once heard that Tom Cruise, okay, when you live in Hollywood as long as I have, and you've been scraping the bottom of the barrel trying to eke out a meager indie career, there are projects that you become aware of that big stars become attached to that you'd love to see made. So, and sometimes big stars, there was a writer named Marcel Montesino. It's either Montesino or Montecito. He wrote a book called The Cross Killer that I loved. And then he wrote the second book that I remember coming out was a book called Big Time. And I remember, which I also really liked. I didn't like it as much as The Cross Killer, a different kind of book, but he wrote Big Time. And I heard that Tom Cruise had optioned Big Time to make. That movie never got made. Nothing's ever happened. I don't know if anyone wrote a script for it. They probably did 6 drafts and it's got millions of dollars against it already, which is why it didn't get made. But I'd also heard that Time Crimes was also optioned, or Tom Cruise bought the remake rights. Now, I don't know if this is true. This is one of these things you read, and this was like 25 years ago. Time Crimes is almost 20 years, so almost 20 years ago. 16 years ago. I loved Time Crimes. If you haven't seen Time Crimes, don't read anything about it. Yes, it's a low-budget movie, as David points out. If you haven't seen Time Crimes, and yes, it's Spanish, don't let the subtitles stop you. You got to watch it. It's one of the great time travel movies, but don't, like with good time travel, and he also brings up here Predestination. Time Crimes and Predestination are great, and Predestination is based on a Robert Heinlein story called All You Zombies. Don't read anything about it. Don't read the short stories. Get Time Crimes and get Predestination, and watch them as a double feature. Low budget, but 2 movies that deliver on every level, I think. I like Safety Not Guaranteed. Primer is a little murkier. I can't recommend Primer as much, even though I really like Primer. It was the second movie in my life I had to watch, and then immediately when it was over, I watched it again with the audio commentary. And Safety Not Guaranteed is Colin Trevorrow's first feature. I believe it's his first feature. Also very, very good. And so is A History of Time Travel. And but and then there's the movie that was made, like Another Chance. That's another, I forget what it's called. But Time Crimes and Predestination, that's the stuff. And so David Fairclough, I hope I remember Fairclough. I probably won't. I always forget. I'm terrible like that. But thank you for writing in. Great suggestions. And I'm glad you like Lola, because it was so good. Really, really liked it. Zach Stevens writes in. Says, hey, Robin Dietz. Well, maybe Dietz will be watching this. Just sending thanks your way for everything you guys do to endorse physical media. Why, thank you. As a 20-year-old collector from Australia, there is nothing better than walking into a JB Hi-Fi and grabbing a sweet 4K disc. Life doesn't get much better than this. Thanks again, and keep up the great work. Ooh, well, let me tell you, he included a picture, which I did not download. So let me go get this picture, and I will show it to you. Since he took the time to take the picture and send it to me, he certainly deserves mad props. And he should see his picture on this show. And I want to see this picture because I haven't seen it yet. So let's get the picture and see what it is. Okay, I put it on my desktop, and let me put it in here, and I forgot. Oh, I got to rotate it. Let me do a little editorial here, and let me rotate the picture so you can see it. Now I got to make it a little smaller because it's cut off, which I can do because I have like a TV studio right here with me. Okay, so you can see the 4K. Oh, here we go. So all the way from Australia. Look at those glorious shelves. Okay, that's the whole picture. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit and we can see what titles are there, because I'm always curious to see what titles you can see on the shelves in 4K. And these are all 4K shelves. Let's take a gander as we zoom in. Lucy, Mamma Mia, The Matrix, Scream, and that's pretty cool. Let me move some of this around. Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. Brian De Palma's Snake Eyes is up there. It looks like, is that Memoirs of an Invisible Man? Ford v Ferrari. Lord of the Rings. You can see Lord of the Rings down there. All right. Australia, the country that they want to get rid of physical media at. Still, you got some sweet stuff. Looking good. So thanks for taking that picture, and thank you for sharing it with us. And it's nice to hear from a 20-year-old physical media collector in the land down under, which is amazing. Do you have a copy of BMX Bandits with Nicole Kidman as a teenage girl? Because you should. Because doesn't every Australian boy, Aussie boy, love Nicole Kidman? Actually, you probably think of her as a 20-year-old. You don't even know she was a teenager once. So that's probably a dumb thing to want to or expect of you. But check it out, BMX Bandits. Brian Knight says, final question of the week for him. Okay. Robin Dieter, how many times watching a movie does it take to start spotting the errors in plot points, especially a small one? I love the movie The Accountant. So do I, and I have it on 4K. Waiting for a sequel. After the 6th or 7th time, my eyes opened. Like we were talking to Captain Dathon. My eyes opened and I started questioning some of the plot points. First, why are there police officers at Ben Affleck's mother's funeral in the first place? And why does the family have a problem with 2 soldiers appearing at the funeral to show their respect, even if they know or don't know about her previous family? I don't know. I'd have to watch that again, but I don't know. Second, why doesn't Ben Affleck's mob accountant friend, when released from prison, not immediately go into witness protection, retire to Arizona, and have Mary McCormick as his protector? Or move next door to Steve Martin in My Blue Heaven. I worked on My Blue Heaven. I don't know. And finally, why doesn't Ben Affleck's brother ask John Lithgow for a picture of his target, the unknown accountant? Would have been an interesting scene finding out it was his brother before meeting him during the gun battle. Yeah, but isn't it shocking when you meet him during the gun battle? Really, why no sequel? Affleck is one of those actors who are one and done and no sequels to a character. It might be, he might be. I love The Accountant. I don't know if I'd have those same problems. I'd have to watch the movie again. Those are pretty specific, but I don't necessarily know if those are plot holes or something. But I'd have to go back and look again. But I want to thank you for writing in. That was very nice. I like when you write in, Brian. But yeah, there's always, if you look at, sometimes there's logic holes. But I think a lot of movies, because one of the things that when you're putting a movie together, especially when you're sitting in the edit bay, logic holes are things that people are looking for. And usually you can spot things in the movie. Like I'll tell you something. I was watching Kiss the Girls, the 4K of Kiss the Girls. Elizabeth and I were watching it. The first Alex Cross movie starring Morgan Freeman and Ashley Judd. And it's only okay, but there's something about it that I like. But it's not as even good as I remember. It's not very good, to be honest. It's not very good. Gary Fleeter directed it, but I like it. There's a couple of logic points that were brought up. It's like when they made the movie, they toned it down because I read the first like 10 Alex Cross books, and they got less and less good as they went along. It's like James Patterson had ghostwriters write them, and they became very sparse. Even you'd open up the book, and half the book was blank pages because the chapters were so short. But there were some, like, I loved Gary Sanji and Along Came a Spider, and Kiss the Girls was good. I really liked Jack and Jill. I did not like Tyler Perry playing Alex Cross, Rob Cohen. It was too over the top. It was moving away from the Alex Cross novels. But the lurid nature of Kiss the Girls was kind of bled out of the film. They talked about it, but you never felt that it was as lurid because it would have been too gross, I think. But they did. I read a review that said, how do these killers, the killers at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, there's 2 killers. Well, you find that out pretty well, it's not that far away, but what is their connection? And they do, if you pay close attention, they do explain why these 2 killers are connected. It's just, it's not in your face. So it's hard. If you're not paying real attention, you'd breeze right by it. But people said that was a plot hole, and it wasn't, it was there. So sometimes when people say plot holes, maybe go back and looking at it. I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch The Accountant, which is a good idea because I like The Accountant and I would go see it again. I think that truly is the last letter of the day. So that is the last letter of the day. So, hey, let's see what was selling this week. Here we go. These are the top 20 sellers for the week ending on September 23rd. So, as you might imagine, The Little Mermaid, #1 bestseller, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Fast X, John Wick Chapter 4, The Exorcist, The Flash, Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't have my Exorcist yet because I'm getting it from England. The Super Mario Brothers movie, and of course, Fall and Yellowstone, still up there. Respectable. Those are the top selling discs. Here are the top selling that's total. That's including DVD as well. Top 20 selling Blu-ray discs. Here's the first 10: The Little Mermaid, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Exorcist. Look at that. A re-release of a catalog title still sells on Blu-ray too. John Wick Chapter 4, Fast X, The Flash, Guardians of the Galaxy, Super Mario Brothers, Past Lives, which I picked up. I showed that last week. And Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. Show enough. It's so good to see that as number 10. How about that, huh? Number 10. The Last Dragon. Who would have thought, I wouldn't have put that on my 2023 bingo card, but there we are. Now, here are the top selling 4K discs for the week. The Exorcist, number 1, not a surprise. See catalog titles of sought after movies that are in 4K, right to the top of the charts. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Little Mermaid, Barry Gordy's The Last. Okay, here's why 4K is important, people. Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. Look at that, number 4 on the charts. Now, to be fair, let's go also take a gander at this slice of the pie. Only 14.7% of the discs being sold. That's that little black part of the pie right there, the black wedge. Not a lot. Admittedly speaking, not a lot. But, you remaster that stuff and put a re-release out on Blu-ray, new master, people get it. Those numbers go up. You're almost at 40% there. Pretty good. That's still a viable business model. You're still selling quite a bit. So we got The Exorcist, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid, it enters the charts not even at number 1. Let's take a moment. In 4K, The Little Mermaid, the remake, the live action, which I thought is got a bad rap. It's a delightful movie. Too long, but delightful. And she's great. Halle Bailey, she's great in the movie. And I thought I liked her ethereal, her face. There's something ethereal about her face, angelic, otherworldly. I thought it was perfect she was perfectly cast as Ariel. Let me just say, as far as the mise en scène of that film goes, perfect casting, and her voice is to die for. So haters be gone. But The Exorcist smokes The Little Mermaid. Look at that. And what's Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, number 4? Fall, number 5, John Wick Chapter 4, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Again, Warner Brothers, look at that, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I know Flash has been out for a while, but it's above the Flash. Fast X and Sleepy Hollow. Oh, you know what I didn't show? I did, in fact. Wait, let me see, where did I put it? I'm looking. Listen to this dead air. This is some scintillating. I did, in fact, get Sleepy Hollow. I forgot to bring it and show it. Not that you need me to show everything I buy, but I did get Sleepy Hollow on disc. And it looks fantastic, the 4K. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. I'm like, where did it go, though? I don't know. But I did get it. So that's exciting. And then I've caught up on the letters, which is good. And let's see what you guys are, if you guys are still being loquacious. I don't know. Let's see. A World in Pajamas. Tracy asks, are you playing Starfield? I'm no good to anyone until I've had coffee, and it has to be a double espresso. I understand your pain having no coffee. Well, I was busy, so I didn't have coffee with Elizabeth like I have every morning. But I was able to bring, when I come down here, I need the tall glass, like the tall cup like this, because I don't want to spill it. So there you go. I'm not playing Starfield. I have downloaded it. It's on my Xbox X. I have not played it yet, just because it's been so crazy trying to plan this shoot and going to Universal and doing White Devils, and it's been wacky. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of I guess I call anything that's not on YouTube extracurricular work, but there's been a lot of extracurricular work. So, A World in Pajamas asks, did you have Newsbin? I don't know what you mean by that. Tracy, Newsbin? Did I have Newsbin? I don't know. What is Newsbin an app? I don't know what that is. I don't know. Justin Toner says, hey, Rob, I sent in a tip about Versus Forgot My Name. You sent in Justin sent in the tip about Vinegar Syndrome. So Justin sent that tip in. Thanks for watching out for me, Justin, because, man, how exciting is that news? I'm going to go buy that. Lipstick Train Face. That's a good name. Lipstick Train Face sends in a super chat and says, "You're great. Thanks for being great." Well, not as great as the name Lipstick Train Face. Where does that come from? Is that a reference that I should recognize? I don't recognize it. I just know it. I recognize it as being awesome because it is. So, Lipstick Train Face, thank you for saying that I'm great. And I should say it like the Tony Tiger voice. I can't say that about myself. I can't say I'm great because that would be narcissistic and egomaniacal, and far be it for me to be one of those things. So anyway, wow, I think I'm at the end. I think I've come. Is this the end of Rico? I don't know. It could be. I think this is the end of the show, unless anybody has anything they want to discuss. Hey, you know what? You want to do something fun since Dieter isn't here? Okay, since Dieter isn't here, I'll tell you what I'm going to do at the end of this very special show. Okay, kids, if you've got a good camera and you've got a good microphone, and you can have them on right now, I'm going to drop a link. You can come on this show. I'm going to bring on, I haven't done randos late night, but I'm pretty awake now. I'm going to put a link in. It's going to be a little cumbersome, but it kind of be like a member chat. I'm going to put out the link. And if you want to come on this show and show your face and chat, that's going to happen. Do you want to come on Let's Get Physical Media? Do you have what it takes? Remember, you got to have a good microphone thing or whatever, and you can make that happen. If you want to come on, now look in the live chat because I'm going to drop in the link. Dun, dun, dun. Are you ready? Are you ready? Here you go. There's the link. Irene Jobson sends in the super chat. Cheers to the randos. There is the link. So there you are. Can you see it? I hope you can. Somebody says like my bit rate's too much. We shall see. Maybe it's too much. Let me kick out the jams. Take out the I don't know who's going to come on. Maybe no one will come on. One never knows. We shall see. Did somebody just drop in Ron C? I didn't realize that Ron C he had dropped in $100 super chat about the woman from Belarus. $100. Ron C, that was a super chat about Superman. But I'll tell you, since I didn't even realize that until just now, so I apologize. Thank you so much for supporting the channel in that way. Superman Returns, the reason it's not out on 4K and the reason it's not in that set, they talked about it, but because of Kevin Spacey's travails and Bryan Singer's travails, they didn't release it in 4K. And they were going to, because that Superman definitely, wait, did somebody not, it said something about bit rate? I don't know. Here, I'll put it in again. So there's the telestream. So no one's come on. None of you have come on. Maybe you can't see it. I don't know. But yeah, so they didn't put it out, which is a damn shame because I think that Superman Returns, and I really think that the original Friends and Family cut of Superman Returns should see the light of day. It's about a half an hour longer, and I'd love to get it. I'd love to get some of that. So, wow, Google didn't really like that I put the Telestream link in there. Is that true? Are they not letting me do that? Is that why? Because no one can see it? Oh, wait, someone's here. Let's see who's here. Freddie's here. Freddie is. How's it going, Freddie? I love that you're topless. I'm putting you on the show. Do you want to? Is that okay with you? Okay, I have with me Frederick. I'm gonna put him in. Let me. I gotta put him down. I'll put him on my panel. So here he is. I'm adding him to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Freddie. Freddie, you are on Let's Get Physical Media.
Wow. Here I am. With
rock you like a hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't have... See,
You
you're
know,
stepping in for Dieter. So tell me, sir. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, by all means, by all means.
No, I was just gonna say no. I'll let you talk.
Okay,
I've talked enough.
fair. You are. Just want to say I've been a fan for years. And just getting to speak with you today is such a privilege for me. You have been a constant source of wisdom, humor, perspective, and just so much just grace and learning about your story in the entertainment industry through special effects and editing and your film, free enterprise. Like just I am a huge fan, and I just want to say thank you so much for having me.
Here, let me send this PayPal payment to you right now. Thank you for those kind words.
Checks in the mail. Checks in the mail. We have a connection that you might not know. I was recently in Chris Carr's voice class.
Really?
Yes, I was.
Well, I can tell you, Chris Carr is going to be doing voices for our audio drama that we're recording. She's going to be doing 2 different voices in the pilot that we're recording. So how was that? How was her class?
I want to say that she's just the best. I even think that she doesn't even know how great she is. I think that
I agree with you.
You know, yeah, like she's just, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to you right now. This is amazing. I watch you all the time, and I'm a fan. And I remember, one of my first ever times, I think a lot of other people, catching on the John Campea show. I even got to catch it like a decade ago, back when Schnepp was around too. And
sure.
When my buddy Jake first put me on to, man, it's been a while. It's been a wild ride too, man. It's so great to finally meet you. But yeah, Chris's classes are just the best. I went to her boot camp class where you get kind of like a 4-hour intro to voice acting. And she's just so great about just instilling confidence in you and like making you believe in yourself that you can do it. And also helping you kind of find like your, she talks a lot about like the kind of toolboxes that you can like different voices that you can bring out. And yeah, she's just the best. I recommend like everybody, even if you're not like super big on it, like it's still something that is just such a great confidence booster. And like you get to hang out with Chris Carr.
Yeah, I know. I love Chris. She's smart. She's just a great person. I love her husband Logan too. Oh, and yeah. She's great. She's a great person. So I've also got Tommy Ricknell. Tommy Ricknell's here. So I'm putting him in the chat. Tommy, I don't know if I can hear you or not.
Can you hear me, Rob?
I can hear you. Yes, I can, because I didn't know if you hadn't said anything. Well, Tommy, welcome to the show. Now, let me ask, first of all, let me start with you, Freddie. Where are you coming to us from right now?
The beautiful Portland, Oregon. And I got to tell you, Rob, I do got those dank nugs on me, man.
Oh, you got the dank nugs. All right. Yes, I'll be in Portland on Wednesday.
What?
Yeah, I'm shooting. No, I'm shooting. So I've been doing a show. I've been directing a series of medical lectures for my friend Mike Schertz. He's an ER doctor there at one of the biggest, and it's called Crisis Medicine Tactical Casualty Care. And we're working with local law enforcement and SWAT, and we're going out and filming. There's a training center, and we're going out there and filming scenarios and things. And then I'm coming back. I'm only going to be there. So I fly there Wednesday, and then I fly back home on Friday. And then on the 17th, I'm going to be there I fly back up, and I'm there for another week where we're shooting a whole class, a whole 4-hour class.
Wow.
So
might have to pull up on you, man.
I know. Now, Tommy, where are you coming to us from?
Well, Rob, last Sunday, we were talking about Åland Islands.
Oh, that's where you're at.
Yes, Åland Islands.
Okay, now you have to explain to everybody, because we looked it up. So
I know.
Explain to everybody where you're coming to us from.
Okay, so I'm coming from Scandinavia, and I live at this little island between Sweden and Finland called Åland Islands. And I'm from Sweden myself, but I live in Åland, which belongs to Finland, but Åland Islands, we only speak Swedish. So it's a very strange little island.
It's beautiful. We looked it up. It's absolutely beautiful there.
Very beautiful. It's a big island in the middle of the Baltic Sea.
So now let me ask you this. Where do you get physical media? Do you have to order it?
I have a big hassle with ordering physical media, but I'm doing all right. I got damaged steel books, damaged slip covers.
Oh,
But you know what? Uh, Actually, Rob, I got so inspired, so I actually got this one.
Second Sight's Dawn of the
Of
Dead.
course, I had to have this specific release, and Second Sight had this amazing sale this week. So of course, I picked up Dog Soldiers.
That transfer, that took a long time. I know Neil Marshall, and finding that negative and stuff. They did a fantastic job with that release.
Yes, and of course, the one and only.
Yeah, and that's great. That transfer is amazing too. Yeah, they just do such a great job.
Yeah, but Rob, you have been pretty naughty because last month you inspired me to get. Okay, this is from Vinegar Syndrome. The Beast.
Oh no! Now, have you seen the original Beast?
No, I haven't.
It's very naughty. Now,
it's
very naughty. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
But can you believe that movie even exists?
No.
Yeah, but you got it on sale. So
yeah, I got it
that's
on sale.
good.
Yeah.
So Freddie, let me ask you: are you a big physical media collector?
I just became a big physical media collector over the past year, actually, watching your show and meeting Dieter through the show too, not like in person or anything, but just like watching him and both of y'all's passion. And I got a small collection of manga and DVDs from a friend of mine who just moved. And and I've been collecting ever since.
Nice. I like that. I mean, that's good. That's good to hear. It's first of all, also, I have to ask you, Tommy, your shirt. Who is on your shirt?
You know what? I gotta have Mariah Carey.
Yeah, boy. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Good
I yeah.
I love women. I think they're beautiful.
It seems funny to hear that, but I do too. And who doesn't? And these days, it's kind of funny. I mean, can we say that anymore without getting in trouble?
I think so. I feel like as long as it comes from like your heart, like dang, she's fine. Like it was a price of love.
I agree. As long as you boys agree, I think you're right.
You've been in the game for a good minute, Rob, and you've probably seen
too long.
All sorts of you've probably seen all sorts of like beautiful women throughout the years. Who would you say is like one that the first time you ever saw them like in person, you were just like, oh my God?
You know what? I have an answer for that. And people are gonna say, huh, really? So a lot of people don't know this, but when Brandon Routh was doing his final screen test for Superman Returns, Kerry Russell was playing Lois Lane. Now, when you see the footage that I shot, I had to cut Kerry Russell out because I don't think that Kerry Russell, I don't know if she was auditioning for Lois Lane, but Kerry Russell, like in person at that time, it wasn't that she was just physically, that was a giant spider that was by my head. It wasn't that she was physically beautiful, because she's absolutely beautiful, but there was a quality that was emanating from her. The way she smiled, the way she appeared, there was an ethereal presence in the room that came out of her, that she really exuded both exterior and inner beauty at the same time. And she was so nice and just really striking. And because it wasn't something I would have expected from her, because I always thought like Felicity, she was beautiful, but she had like this approachable beauty. Yeah, like she wasn't like some like Monica Bellucci has that European smoky.
Oh man.
but there was something about Kerry Russell that just immediately struck me. And actresses, she was working, so you never know, they're putting that on, but it seemed very genuine. And because I thought she was pretty, but I seeing her in person, and she wasn't like she was in a t-shirt and jeans and stuff. It wasn't like she was dressed up, but she was incredibly striking. And it was funny to see that because I watched is it The Diplomat, the new streaming series that she's on? She was terrific in that. She's a great actress, and I applaud J.J. Abrams for like putting her in things like Rise of Skywalker. But I think given an opportunity, I think that Kerry Russell could be actually a huge movie star if she had the right vehicle.
Right.
But yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind.
That's so awesome.
So, yeah, and I can't believe that was 18 years ago. Actually, It was 19 years ago because it was around this time in 2004 that I went and shot that screen test. So
awesome.
Yeah, and we have someone else with us because that's what these random times are all about. We have, so let me put this next person in, and I'm going to bring on Colin. Now, I hope Colin, I hope you can, we can hear you. I don't know if we can yet. Oh, you sound good. Yes, we can. Okay, I'm putting you in, Coach. So
it's like being on the radio.
It really is, and I don't have a producer, so I have to do all this work. I have to do all this work myself. So
yeah, I've always thought that was really cool because not and there's no like I love John. I think he's like one of the best, to the point where he can have Jonathan around. But I think there's something to be said about you doing these live streams yourself. I've always thought that was pretty.
Oh
cool.
yeah, I mean, and here we go. Here's Colin. So we've got everybody for those keeping. I'm not going to put up names because it'd be too much. We have Colin is in the top left of the screen. We've got Freddie at the bottom left of the screen, and we've got Tommy coming at us from between Finland and Sweden, all on an island. So now, Colin, where are you coming to us from?
I'm in the southeast.
I'm
in one of those states who have avoided all the hurricanes in the last 8 months, and of course, now that I've said that, the next one's going to come right for us. But, but I've been very lucky in that sense.
Well, that's
as opposed to like the last 2 or 3 decades, in which everything has come right through.
Nice. Well,
anyway.
you have a good setup there. Do you YouTube? Do you do radio? You've got a good voice.
I did some production work during COVID. We did some live streaming of weddings and these sorts of things. We did a live stream of a high-powered rocket launch out in the Gene Dry Lake bed in Las Vegas a year and a half ago or so, where we attached a bunch of cameras to high-powered rockets. These are things that are you guys remember Estes rockets you did as a kid, right?
Dude, I got mid-powered rockets right up here. I've got the Estes Interceptor E,
7 to 10 feet tall, 3 inches around.
Yeah,
so
I love
high-powered rockets, 6 to 9 inches around, 15 to 20 feet tall.
Yep.
Accelerate to Mach 2. I mean, this is fun stuff.
And they have I want to say Plaster Caster here in California, and you have to get an FAA waiver because some of the rockets go up past 25,000 feet.
Yeah, so I did my my level 2 certification. There are several levels of certification required by the associations of there are several rocketry associations in the U.S. and they basically provide insurance for these sorts of events. That's their primary function. But they have these levels of certifications on, and they require different types of motors to be launched and different sizes of rockets and so on. So I did my level 2 certification out there, and so the way these events happen is, as you say, you get a waiver from the FAA, and so in our case, we were adjacent to McCarran Airport out in Las Vegas.
Very right.
So we had a general waiver for up to 10,000 feet for the entire weekend. But then when you have to launch something above that, you basically call McCarran Airport and say, get the planes out of the way.
Wow.
And they do it. I mean, that's it. They'll give you a 15-minute window in which to do your launch, and
Amazing.
you're responsible for checking to see if planes are out of the way. But what are they going to not do it? But it's a government service. It's a community service. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that back in the late 2000s, I got back into mid-powered rockets because I started. There's a couple of companies. There was a company called Q Modeling that was redoing Estes kits, but as instead of small kits, they were upsizing them, upscaling them.
Yeah,
and they
did do that. And really cool.
They did some of my favorite, like the Starship Andromeda, which is like, and theirs was like 6 feet, the upscaled version. And so I was the Mars Snooper, and then they went out of business. I'd love to buy more, but then there's other, like Pemberton Industries was doing models of like the space ark from When Worlds Collide. They did that, and then Estes did one of my favorite rockets, the Estes Interceptor. They did an Interceptor E that worked on an E engine, which I have right up here. And then I got really into. I have like 20. I've built like 10.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. And of course, when you hit middle age, you got a little extra money to burn. You can go for the giant monsters.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't have any friends that do that stuff, so I'm kind of doing it by myself, and it's no fun.
Well, that's my problem. I'm here on the East Coast. There is and they have a name for the subgroups, and I don't remember what it is now. Anyway, they have some guys out here doing this stuff, but I've never met them. I don't know any of them. I do all my launches out in Vegas, which is kind of tough when you get to the larger rockets. You got to ship everything out there, rent the place, go build the thing for a month. Otherwise, you can drive the thing as assembled. It's it's an adventure. Anyway, so the point was we were throwing cameras on these rockets, and it was great. We had real time telemetry. One of our guys got hired away from us to should I say that? I guess I'm not supposed to say that. We had one of our guys disappear to an actual commercial launch operator in the middle of our operation. It was pretty cool. Anyway, so we did a bunch of weddings, we did some other stuff, and so that's what I've got, halfway decent system. I mean,
nice.
You can see some of the systems that the other guys that I was working with have.
Now, do you collect physical media?
I did.
What? What is this did crap?
I did, and then I bought a NAS.
Oh, okay.
And I just I grant you, it's difficult finding the higher quality versions of things.
By the way, explain to everybody what that is.
Okay, so network attached storage is exactly what it sounds like. It's a computer that does nothing other than storage. So I have what?
Like a Plex system or something.
Well, so Plex is software. A NAS is typically hardware and some very basic software. Plex would run on top of or within a storage device. And so I have 6 terabytes or something? No. 26 terabytes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
What can you do? I had 6 terabytes.
Holy moly.
Anyway, so 26 terabytes of storage for this stuff, and it's running out, as you'd expect.
But now let me ask you this: where do you get your movies? Where do you get those files from? Are you stealing? Are you stealing?
We don't steal. No. We buy the physical media where we can.
Okay.
And if the version on that physical media is good enough to be ripped, it gets ripped, and if not, then we find the version that is good enough. And I own the media. I'm too stupid to know the difference.
That's okay. No, it's all good.
It's the same movie. It's the same copyrighted content as far as I can tell. Now you're going to have to cut this whole segment out.
No cutting. There's no cutting here. We don't edit.
We live, baby.
Yeah, we don't. No, but I'm curious because look, obviously, the reality is I did a show last week about.
Yeah, I know. I was fascinated. I didn't realize that those companies existed that would license and or not license and just throw physical media out there.
Yeah, I mean it's bad, but there's a lot of unfortunately, it's interesting to me that the studios have sort of abandoned. I mean, when I was working at studios, like when I was working at Warner Brothers, when I was beginning in my career, and then I produced special features for Fox, for Lionsgate, for Disney, and the idea, their libraries is what gave them value. You've got Warner Brothers, 100 years of
I was
Warner
amazed.
Brothers.
You were saying that they have no idea what they have. The expertise just isn't there to accompanying the content, which is
No,
bizarre.
I mean it's crazy. You look at, it's such a weird thing because I think the conventional wisdom, the problem with, and look again, I don't know much about. I'm not an economist. But all I know is that the business, the business.
My degrees in economics.
Yeah, well, so
We'll get to that.
So the idea that nowadays, unfortunately, movies, pop culture. I've always said pop culture has a half-life of 20 years. What I think has really happened is that the place that movies occupy in our culture has changed. And it isn't that with the video games being as sophisticated as they are. I mean, look, I'll play a Ghost of Tsushima, or whether it's Starfield, or there are games that are so immersive that you get so, and one game can last you in terms of entertainment value you can play a game for 100 hours. I mean, 10 years ago I got Grand Theft Auto 5, and I can still find enjoyment in playing that game 10 years after the fact, go online and all that. So movies, when I was growing up, the 20th century movies were the art form of the 20th century. And I just think that that's changed. And especially for young people, because you get hooked on movies at a young age. Now, people aren't getting hooked on movies at a young age. They still like narrative. But they've got TikTok, Instagram, all these things where they're able to craft their own media, where they're the star. And so it's just different. So the value of those libraries has been diminished, I think, as far as the culture is concerned.
By hours of viewership has certainly changed. Where in a movie theater, you want a movie that is relatively short and still appealing to the customer, where the theater can run an extra 2 or 3 showings in a day. Whereas when you're dealing with, I think you touched on this several weeks ago about when you're dealing with streaming content, you want hours of content, multiple hours of content for the lowest possible price, just because you can keep people on the streaming service they're paying per month, which I think we all recognize now that model is not optimal,
right?
Inside Netflix, but Netflix. But the concept is there, and the same thing goes for. The same analysis can be performed for video games, right? So you want to provide enough hours of content to secure the initial purchase, but not so many hours of content that you can't later sell DLCs, providing additional content, and have that customer hooked into that game for a longer period. So it's an interesting balancing act they have to perform.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, and now the movies themselves, what I don't understand is that library, it will last forever, and you need the best versions of these movies possible. And you have studios, Warner Brothers has a deep, deep, deep catalog. And basically modern home video releases, brand new releases, and also catalog titles are now controlled by theatrical marketing. And so you have younger people that are running these things that they haven't seen the movies, they don't know the history of the studio, and they have no institutional knowledge about the 100 years of Warner Brothers history. They can learn it, but to understand, like, okay, why would a movie like Outland, the Sean Connery 1981 science fiction, people of why should we release that? They don't even know the people at Warner Brothers have never heard of this movie. So then they'll go look it up and they'll be like, it doesn't have the best notices in the world. But because they have no understanding that just about everybody who if they put Outland out in 4K, everyone's going to buy it. And the poster.
I was only ever able to get it on VHS. I never was able to upgrade it and get it on anything else.
The poster was just Sean Connery with a shotgun, dressed in his.
You had no idea he was on the moon or on what was that, on the moon or on Mars?
Io. He's on Io, and the
Io.
the tagline was, "On Jupiter's moon, he's the only law."
Yeah.
You know, and every science fiction fan, I mean, it's a sci-fi remake of High Noon, and the assassins, to be honest, are pretty stupid, shooting projectile weapons in a pressurized environment. Like one of them dies when the greenhouse is shot through. It's like, bro,
Don't shoot there.
what are you doing shooting bullets in a pressurized environment? But like, let me ask our young charges here. So Tommy and Colin, you don't have to answer this. How old are you
For
both?
the old ones? Okay. all
Yeah,
right.
I'm gonna ask the young whippersnappers. How old are you guys?
I am 30. 30
Okay. So you should be dead if you're a Logan's Run fan because you've reached your last day. And Tommy,
So,
how?
as distinct from the books,
Yeah, 21. It's the books.
21 in the books. And
So-
you
yeah.
should be dead either way.
So Tommy, and how old are you?
I am 34.
You're 34. Okay, so you're both not that young. But let me ask you both. Tommy, I'll start with you.
Yes.
So in terms of collecting movies or going to movies, would you rather play a great video game? Would you rather watch a movie? Like, what is your entertainment of choice?
You know, I'm gonna start with this. I am a musician myself.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but here's the thing. I don't enjoy listening to, music that I like to play because I love watching movies and the soundtracks. That's my game. But all my friends, I can tell you this, they like to play Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, all that stuff. I did play when I was a little kid, Metal Gear, Final Fantasy, and that thing. But for me, it's all about the movies, going to, Hans Zimmer concerts when I can.
Yeah, and like he comes to Europe and plays live because I've seen
Yeah.
clips. Those concerts are amazing.
Yes, they are. I actually went to Hans Zimmer last year. Yeah, in Stockholm, in Sweden.
Wow, was
So-
it great?
It was fantastic.
You got to see Tina Guo shred on her electric cello.
Yes, and I didn't. I wasn't prepared for this because what's the name of that man that sings in The Lion King? What's the name of that man? The artist.
Mufasa.
Yes, I think.
No.
You know the classic Lion King song, and when he came out and sang, the crowd just went crazy. It was insane. I can recommend it.
Yeah, I mean it's I get seen every year John Williams, God bless him, is still conducting, and I've seen John Williams like 4 or 5 times here in LA. I mean it's amazing to see what I like. I grew up collecting soundtracks, and it's funny. All the friends that I had growing up to, everybody collected. No one collects soundtracks anymore. I mean I shouldn't say no one, but I don't know anybody that has soundtracks or even listens to soundtracks. Like I have a Spotify playlist that I keep adding to. If you ever want to, it's a soundtrack playlist. It's I think it's 24 hours long now, and it's got like 300 songs. But if you ever want a good Spotify soundtrack playlist that's very eclectic, my Spotify soundtrack playlist is called Soundtracking into the Solar Winds. And it's not everything there. You'll hear some very famous pieces of music, but it's very eclectic and weird. Yeah. So if you want to know what's in my mind, you can go check that out on Spotify. But people don't, and also I don't think that there's a lot of great soundtracks being written anymore. There's so much ambient music as opposed to a lot of melody and like you listen to Basil Polidoris's score for Conan or RoboCop or Starship Troopers or something, and those are soundtracks, man. Although I did like Alan Silvestri's score for like Avengers Endgame. You'll get a piece of music like Portals. That's a great piece of music. Well, so let me ask you this. I guess go to Freddie now. Freddie, same thing. I guess I'll ask you the same question. What is your go-to entertainment?
Not to take this opportunity to gas you up a little bit more, but as of late, over the last couple months, my favorite. Well, I guess I'll give you my real answer first. I am an avid anime watcher. I actually watch a lot of King Tanic's videos on your channel as well.
Do you know? By the way, another one drops this afternoon. I'm so happy to hear you say that because I love King Tanic's videos. And
Me too.
again, I'm old school anime, so I know not a lot about the newest. I mean, I'll talk. He
got me into Get a Robo, by the way. Not to cut you off, but you've lavished on it so much that I watched it and I was like, I get it. This is awesome.
Get a Robo Armageddon.
So great.
But I think King Tanic's hooked me up like your name. What is it? Satsume.
I think so. Yeah.
Satsume, I mean, those things that he's talked about, because I knew about like Weathering with You, and I'm still a huge Satoshi Kon fan, like Paranoia Agent and Perfect Blue and stuff like that. But his show, and he asked me to do it. I mean, he just turned 21 since he's been doing the show, and I really appreciate that. I could never do that show,
right?
And so when he brought me, I just wish more people watched it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's why I have the the notifications on for your channel for that very reason, just because him, Lael's channel and Erm's channel, all three of them are so like good, and I just wish that more people would watch them, and all the contributions they do to the Burnettwork, I think, are just so like the variety that you get on this channel is just amazing between Star Trek and anime and movies. Like,
I'm glad to hear you say that. Like, I thought 100%. we did a great show. Midnight Musings last night, I thought was really, really great.
Y'all did.
And like you said, I like the different perspectives. So.
Oh yeah, like y'all. That's honestly my favorite thing about the Burnettwork is like through your passion and your experience in like the entertainment industry, you've been really able to like cultivate this like really vibrant and eclectic community of all different interests. Like, we're all imagination connoisseurs, and I feel like one, especially whenever I watch this channel.
I love to hear you say that.
Thank you. I mean, I love watching it. Like, you're the man, and I feel very similarly the way that Lael has waxed rhapsodic about how cool you are. I feel very similar the way Lael does. You're just the man, and I think that we've all
more PayPal money coming your way.
Stop. It's on the checks in the mail.
I don't know. I didn't get my Bitcoin this month, Rob. So let's see if we can say something bad about Rob.
This is the part
damn it! No, I can't come up with anything.
No, but I mean, I think you're, about you again. I find myself, I watch a lot of YouTube.
Same.
And because it's so talk about model rockets. There's a lot of great rocket footage. Like one of my favorites is when they launched that X-wing, the model of the like full scale X-wing. Have you seen that? It's got to be like 10 years old.
There was a model plane expo where they had you're talking about something else.
Yeah, it's a model rocket. It's an X-wing. It totally disintegrates on takeoff, and then people took that footage, and then they comped in, they CGI'd in like a TIE fighter coming and swooping down and shooting it out, because it totally disintegrates and it's a full size X-wing fighter that's being launched at a rocketry festival. I don't know where.
People launch crazy stuff. I mean, there's one on YouTube. I don't know. Zyla Foxman launched a Christmas tree at one point.
Yeah.
And we actually had done that at one point. We had a guy launch a porta potty. That was interesting. A new, unused porta potty.
I mean, but I do love, because I love building models, so I love model rockets, and now I'm obsessed with RC. They're now putting cameras in the cockpits of RC planes, so you can actually someone's flying an RC
plane experience, but with the plane.
It's amazing, and like it gets expensive and everything. But so let me just to kind of follow up, Freddie. So in terms of what you're watching, in terms of your entertainment, what you're going for, like you said, we got you to collect movies, but for me it's not so much collecting movies as when, it's the commitment when you buy a movie, when you actually purchase a disc and have, it means something. It's like somebody who buys a book, or it says something about wanting to have it in your possession, like you study it or whatever. And I think the fact is, culture's changed. It's changing, and I'm not going out there, these damn kids, they just don't know the joys of physical media anymore. I mean, every generation has its own thing, but like, Tommy, you were talking about music.
Yes.
When I was growing up, albums were like a thing. You'd sit down and listen to a whole album. And I'm like, you just can't listen to another Brick in the Wall Part 2. If you're going to listen to Pink Floyd's The Wall, you have to listen to the whole story. It's a whole story. You have to listen to the whole album in order. And that's kind of like how, and it was an artist, like singles were fine, but you buy the whole record and the record became an experience unto itself. That's gone. Like, I haven't talked to somebody who, believe it or not, I've been asked, I'm writing an article for about Taylor Swift for Newsweek. This is I am not
That's
kidding.
awesome.
I'm not kidding. I'm actually, and what's really interesting is I said on a live stream that I think that Taylor Swift is one of the most important generational voices who exist today. I made this comment, and because I made that on a live stream, I was contacted. Someone said, okay, well, we'd like you to write one version of this, and we're going to have somebody write the Beyonce counterpoint to what you're writing. And I'm like, oh man. and so I'm writing, and me as a middle-aged white male, I can't wait to see how that goes over. My article about Taylor Swift.
Pretty great. The Beyonce article comes out, you're like, well, all right.
But it was interesting because
challenge.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that Taylor Swift, again, I'm like, did she ever do like a concept album? Like Styx did. Kilroy was here with Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto, but not really. Like, she's known mostly for singles as opposed to a whole album. I mean, people love her albums too, but if you look into her music, it's identified as singles. It's not like The Who had Tommy, which was their concept album, and people would talk about it that way, and or Sgt. Pepper or something, but it was different. And I'm like, I guess the experience of a whole album taking you on a journey is sort of gone. We don't.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that, especially with just like the attention spans getting shorter and shorter with like every generation. And I think of like the ability to kind of nitpick through albums nowadays, like through streaming services. You can be like, oh, I don't really like this song as much as the others, I can skip it. But what I've noticed is a lot of the times, and especially as I've, and I wanted to say like anime, but also film has always been probably like my primary, and it's probably what's kept me around for, like just 5-10 years of watching, the John Campea show and learning about it, like behind the scenes too, has kind of like invigorated it even more. Like when I go to the movies, like, cause now that I've seen it, I can form my own opinion, then go online and like see other people's and share and like talk about it. It's like this like event kind of thing with like movies and stuff, especially when the Marvel movies really started kicking off. It's just been so much fun, like talking about like what's going to happen, the theories, like the Easter eggs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It made movies like so much fun, and for like the music, I think because like there's so much of it and it's so easily accessible, it's kind of weirdly become like this kind of like niche thing, even with like super like star artists like Taylor Swift. It's like, all right, I'm a Taylor Swift fan, but I'm not like a super big Taylor Swift fan. I'm just kind of like an average, so I just kind of listen to the singles. But if you're like a super Taylor Swift fan, you're gonna like listen to buy the album, stream the whole album lots of times, figure out what your favorite songs are, because like, I guess kind of like how we are like with maybe say anime or film, because we're so interested in it, we kind of, I don't know, appreciate it more. Like a big Swiftie fan would be with like the latest Taylor Swift album, because they're so passionate about it. They're going to kind of like make a meal of it. Does that make sense? Kind of like as like a more average fan,
Well, let me ask you, Colin. I mean, what, in terms of your entertainment, aside from rocketry, which is actually something where that's different because you're building something. It's a tactile.
I also do a lot of 3D printing and these kinds of things. But
yeah, and it's also, there's an artistic element to it as well.
So I guess this goes to interactive versus passive, right? So
100%.
Video games being interactive, sort of, and movies being passive, sort of. I've found myself watching more YouTube than I have TV during the writer's strike. That's for sure.
Yep.
And I guess that would be true of everyone. The question is, are they going to be able to regain their audience now that the strike is over? I mean, it's going to be another 2 months or something before we start seeing new content there at the very least, and probably a season for some of these things.
I think though that anything that's good will find, like, who would have thought Squid Game would come out and be as good as it was, or become like the cause celeb thing? But again, it was an irresistible story. You know, it was a story that had
premise, but yeah, it grabbed an audience because it was unique. The same thing is true of, and now of course I've forgotten the name of it. This is the one about the alternate dimension adjacent to the Berlin Wall.
Was it Counterpoint with J.K. Simmons?
Yes, it wasn't Counterpoint. It was something similar. But yes, it was with J.K. Simmons. Very good show.
Yeah, I mean, there's been
Counterpart.
Right. I said you're right. Counterpoint. But yeah, I mean, I think that
also very weird premise, but it grabbed an audience, just not enough audience to keep it going. I guess.
But I do think when things are good, I think that's what people are looking for, and I think our entertainment landscape is so fractious now. Because look, I can sit down. To me, I'm obsessed with time and entertainment value. Like if you sit down, a 2-hour movie can cost $300 million now. Now, did you get for your 2 hours of time? Did you? I mean, it's insane. But for a 2-hour movie for $300 million, do you get the same amount of intellectual stimulation as you could from a Joe Rogan podcast with somebody that you're really interested in listening to? Like if there's a great,
they don't price movies by eyeball hour.
No,
that's
No, and I think maybe because nowadays it used to be that movies were a premium form of entertainment. And now premium entertainment is whatever, like if you play a video game, you might be playing, like if you play a Metal Gear Solid game, or you play a Ghost of Tsushima, or you play a Starfield, you might be getting a game that they spent $300 million over 5 years to make. And if you're getting Kojima-san doing a game, like a Metal Gear Solid game or Death Stranding or something, you're getting a vision that is just as palpable as the best movie.
Well, it's an amazing thing. And I had, my video game experience goes back.
This has been
the
so amazing. I
have to go?
Get ready for work. Yes, sir. But before I go, I do just want to say this has been like so awesome. You are like probably one of my top 5 favorite YouTubers. I really wish I didn't have to go to work right now. Keep being awesome. And remember, everyone has a story. All you have to do is ask.
Freddie, here's another PayPal payment coming your way. It was great to have you here. Thanks for coming on to the show as the first time we've ever done randos on Let's Get Physical Media.
Oh yeah.
So thank you for being here.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Paid for your first live streaming on award.
Subscribe to the Lane Bros. We have a YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Lane Bros. Take it easy, guys.
All right. I'll see you later. And that's goodbye to Freddie. So thank you very much. Listen, gentlemen, I too I'm going to take Elizabeth to see The Creator. Oh, so she hasn't seen it.
It's a great movie.
It is. Really is. I thought so. Yeah. So we're going to go.
You've already seen it. You're taking her to
Yeah, she hasn't seen it.
It's so Tom, good then, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's really good. Okay. So Tommy, let me ask you this. Yes, you said more music. As a final thought here, as coming on Let's Get Physical Media, how do you see the future of physical media heading? Do you think? I mean, obviously, it's going to sort of go away, I guess, kind of, or are people going to continue? Where do you think we're going to be physical media wise, moving forward?
Let me swing the question. I think I live in Scandinavia here in Europe, and the problem with streaming in general and digital is that we don't have even 20% as the amount of movies that you have in US and Canada. So the only way to watch movies that I want to watch is to import physical media. I think it's a really big problem today that we just don't have the movies here.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
it's really sad in that sense. And the streaming platforms, movies go away and all that kind of stuff. But I am pretty optimistic that physical media will live on for quite some time. If it's going to be on disc, is it going to be SSD cards? I don't know. It's completely open, but I don't think the ownership can't go away. I have very hard time seeing that, but I am very optimistic about the future. Actually, I really am.
Well, Rob touched on the problem around this the other last week as well. I mean, I probably have 100 each of VHS and DVDs. My VHS player died 5 years ago, and my DVD player died 2 years ago. You're not going to find the devices on which to play these things at some point.
Yeah, I think that's a huge problem, and hopefully we will. I mean, that's why I often joke, although I'm not joking. I do, if I ever make any substantial disposable income and I'm not mortgage poor, I would invest. I would go spend and buy 2 high-end $1,500 4K players just to have them for a rainy day. Because like my Oppo player died, and that was a multi-region player. I love my Oppo player. And, I took it in to get fixed. It was really the laser needed to be replaced. But even the guys like, I don't even know if I can get a part for this player. And they had Oppo discontinued their players. And my Oppo player was a great player, but I'm like, this is what it's like. This is how democracy dies. The player is dead, and then my entire. And the funny thing about it is, my movie collection we were talking about, like on Mr. Foley, Young Master Foley brings up that Vinegar Syndrome's putting out Bloodsucking Freaks, Mother's Day, and Mark of the Devil. Well, none of those movies are going to be on like HBO Max anytime soon. So those exploitation horror titles that are definitely notorious and come from cinema history, no one's going to put those films. Those films would be lost to history, unless somebody starts, which I think they should. You've got Shudder, but like an exploitation film channel. Like if I won the lottery, I would invest like $50 million and start a streaming service that would buy in perpetuity throughout the universe all of these exploitation, low budget, sci-fi, video nasty, the things that no one's going to put on a major streaming service, just so we could have a place where this repository of knowledge could exist, until we have a nuclear exchange or until a meteor hits the earth or whatever. Because that's what's going to happen in my mind. Is that all of these titles will go out of existence because people won't watch them, and then the argument will be made, well, if no one's watching them anymore, Rob, what? They're not important. Well, you can't think about that about art. I mean, art is a product of its time, and it's a product of our civilization. And sure, while most art will fall to dust in the annals of history, I think that it's important to preserve history for as long as we can, because can you imagine if we had physical media from 2,000 years ago? Like what it was like if ancient Rome made movies? And we
do have physical media from 2000.
Well, that's true.
It's very heavy.
Yes, it's true. It's true. But if that technology existed, so I'm like, I think that we should be thinking about now, about preserving all of our art for future generations, because it's all they're going to know as the years go by. I always say pop culture has a half-life of 20 years, but I mean, look at how much we've lost in only 200 years. How much of daily life in America in 1823, we've got a lot of knowledge of it, but there's a lot we don't have. And as the years go by, and people, and ultimately the argument can be made that if people don't care, why preserve it?
Well, also as technology advances, it becomes fundamentally more difficult to preserve it.
Unless all films can be stored on like glass, let's start storing things.
That's Minority Report technology, right?
Yeah, but they do have it now, where and glass is very resilient. So you have etched crystals with movies on them or music. Whole libraries of music can be etched on small pieces of glass or submicroscopic stuff. It might allow these things to be preserved in a way that we can't now. And you won't necessarily be reliant on mechanical devices the way they can be played differently. I mean, they'll still need technology.
Well, that's the thing. You still need technology to play it. You may
So
be
lem-
able to decipher it and recreate the technology with some ease, or provide instructions for creation of that technology. The same thing applies with the Voyager spacecraft, right? You've got a record on there with instructions on how to create and play a device, or create a device to reproduce the content on that record. But who knows if those instructions are intelligible?
Right, I know. Are you optimistic about the future of our media?
I'm optimistic about technology. I am not so optimistic about the preservation of the current forms of entertainment. I think we will be evolving in our entertainment quite rapidly for another 2 decades before we settle on something interesting and that can be solidified and maintained like VHS or DVD for the next 40 years after that.
Yep.
We're in a period of significant transition, I think.
Well, listen, gentlemen, it was great to have you. I'm going to end this stream, but Tommy, Colin, I want to thank you for being here. Thanks for being the first rando guests on this show. I think you guys are the first rando guests on the show. It's
thanks
been
for having us.
Yeah, this has been great. A lot of fun. You know, you never. I hope that Dieter and everybody else is had fun. You know, even though he wasn't here.
It's a shame when they come back.
Well, listen, gentlemen, I will. I'll let you both go, but thank you for being here. That was a lot of fun, and it was great. So I will see you guys later. And that was fun. That was a lot of fun. That was pretty good. I'm very excited about the quality of guests we just had on the show. I wanted to say that Billy D. Shillams became a member of the channel, became an imagination connoisseur. Billy D., thank you for that. I very much appreciate that. And then also, A World in Pajamas explained what she was talking about earlier, that you would get journals from any topic you wanted, from film noir, Star Wars, Lego, to environmental science, astronomy. You just needed a news bin group and checked your email. I never used that. I should have. Irene Jobson comes through with a revelation that is hardly shocking when she says she's a huge Swiftie. I expected you might be. And then Tracy will end this show. A World in Pajamas says British Library preserves old books. Why not movies? Oh, I mean, that we have the Library of Congress that does things like that. It's just a question of how long, and how long will that continue? Hopefully for a long time. Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gentle beings, kind souls, I'm going to bring this episode, this Dieter Bastian-less episode of Let's Get Physical Media to an end. I want to thank Tom Jr. Jackson for being a great moderator. I saw that Lord Toth was also here, so here's one for Lord Toth. I want to thank everybody for generously supporting this channel via super chats and tips, and there's been some, particularly generous people today, and I wanted to thank everybody for that, because that was obviously very nice of you. So, and great questions too. And I want to thank the people for coming on the show, for being brave enough to do that. And thank you all very much for the kind words. I appreciate that. And we'll keep going. We'll keep rocking in the free world, as it were. Dieter will be back next week. I'll have more discs to show than I had this week. And who knows what's going to happen. But remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen. Maybe I'll be coming at you. I'll be working in Portland on Thursday. I'm only gone Wednesday. I leave Wednesday. I come back Friday. But we'll have a lot of fun, and I'll probably broadcast from there. But on that note, this is the end of Let's Get Physical Media, episode 124. Thanks for being here.